Hello, people. We're back. It's Wednesday. We're going a little early today. I know it's a little different than we're used to, but we're going a little early today because Way Back Wednesday's happening in an hour. So we're going to go ahead and get this out of the way a little early. Maybe, you know, uh, dribble into Matt's um, stream over there on Way Back Wednesday. So we're going to try to not go too crazy. All right. So I'm going to start tonight with my we'll call it what? My negativity, with my frustration. Maybe I'll wait a few minutes to start my grifting. But basically there's a couple things that I'm not too excited about in this last episode of Ahsoka. There's a couple things that bother me a little bit, to be honest. And I'm not on the exciting hype train that everybody else is, to be honest. I've been a little frustrated the last two episodes. I'm not saying anything is bad, so let's quash that right now. I'm not saying that, I'm not doing what everybody else cries about, that this is the worst Star Wars ever, that this is, not great content. The things that I am nitpicking, and I am nitpicking as hard as I am, specifically because I am such an Ahsoka fan. I am such a fanboy of this, um, of this IP, that I want to make sure that it is, um, that it's held true. I guess if this is what the grifters complain about, then maybe I can understand a little bit more of their pain. But to be honest, there's a couple things that bothered me. Um, like I said, they're just nitpicks, I guess. But I'll go ahead and air them out publicly. So let's get in the chat and see everybody. Like I said, a lot of people feeling a 10 out of 10. A lot of people feeling that this was some of the greatest Star Wars that Disney has put together in live action as of yet. I'm feeling a lot of that sentiment. This is where, yeah, we're gonna have a little bit of fun. I'm gonna get a little bit of rowdy, and show you guys a different side of things. But like I said, I'm not overall trashing the content. I'm just saying there's a couple things that I'm not too happy about. Um, yeah, I know you're going to be surprised. I know. Believe it, I know. What's up, Matt? Matt's getting ready over at the Matt Cave. He's starting to prep things because he is back on Way Back Wednesday. I believe he's playing a little more Ahsoka. So I'm going to put the link for that in the old chat to make sure that you guys get over there and give him the attention that he deserves, because the man has been putting together some fantastic content lately. I don't know what the hell that is. So we're gonna back up on that. Um, yeah, it should be this one, right? That's the one I pushed. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Wow. Oh, that's a video. Oh, I don't even see. Oh, there it is. That's the one. Why does it keep giving? Why does it keep giving me one of your videos, Matt? I'm trying to do this live. All right. So look, here's the link for his video. Okay. Okay, let's get back to what we were doing before I got distracted by Matt. So Matt's getting over there, chilling in the basements here. What's up? That boy Steve, how's it going? Again, Darth Maximus, a lot of people felt it was a 10. A lot of people that are not usually on my frame of mind, my headspace, or a lot of people felt that way as well. You are not alone in that regard. There's a lot of people that were feeling very excited by what they saw. I just don't happen to be one of them. So yeah, that's just me. You know what I mean? So anywho, all right. So let me like I said, let me get negative for a minute. I'm gonna give you guys the negative things that I came up with here. So um first and foremost, I guess the thing that bothers me the most, and that's why I thumbnailed it so hard, is the Purgle scene. Now, I'm not opposed to the Purgle. I'm not opposed uh, to that story arc. I'm not opposed to the whole Purgle assist. Right? Let's get that out of the way. I'm not opposed to that. I just felt this was again another instance of it being a little too Disney. Right? Not so Lucasfilm, but a little too Disney. like the end of the Mandalorian with the fishing on the creek with the Disney. Um, I kind of felt like that was just a little too much on that, and I felt that way about this landing on the Purgle. Maybe you want to having the Purgle attach onto the ships, but landing inside the whale's mouth. I called it. I think I called it last week that they could possibly do this and make it a very Pinocchio moment, right? I think Dave is a better writer than this. I think pulling from something like Pinocchio in this instance was a little too on the nose. So that's one of the things that kind of bothered me is I said that in jest. I said that as a joke. Like, oh, what if the whale opens his mouth and they fly in and it's like Pinocchio? I was not being serious. But I guess I called something I didn't expect it to really be. So that is my number one, first and foremost, probably my largest gripe with the episode. Aside from that, I have been seeing pretty much nothing but stellar reviews um, from even the darkest side of the Star Wars fandom has nothing but beaming things to say. So I think that the fandom is enjoying this as a whole. It's hard to find anybody being negative about it. But in that respect, I do have to bring in Dan's here.
What's up, man?
What's up, Dan? What's cracking, buddy?
Hey, man, say, man, what we getting into? I hear you talking about it, but I'm not really hearing you, man. I'm not really hearing
Well,
you. I gotta say, we're on opposite sides here.
but I'm on the opposite side of pretty much every subject with everybody, so that's okay. I'm okay with that. Look, for me, it was more. It was more of the. I don't mind the Disney influence, right? I don't. I don't. That doesn't trouble me really at all. This kind of bothered me a little bit because it was a little bit too Pinocchio, right? So I've been catching a lot of this. I've been catching a lot of this. What do I want to call it here? Duplication that Disney has done over the years. For instance, Christopher Robin and Mowgli from the Jungle Book. You put them frame by frame. It's the same footage with a different background and a different boy, right? There's a lot of regurgitation that goes on with Disney a lot of the times, and I don't want to call it laziness, but it just seems like they're better than that. They got a lot more money than that. This is an instance I felt like Dave went to his childhood, pulled a book off the shelf, and like, oh man, how am I gonna get them to the other side of the galaxy if the Wayfinder's broken? How am I gonna get him there? And he went right to the shelf and pulled out a Pinocchio, and it's a Pinocchio moment. So it's just for me, it's tough for me to handle it like that. I guess that's, and if that's my largest gripe, then well, I'm nitpicking.
Mhm. Yeah, I feel like the whale scene was probably one of the better parts of the episode. Actually, like it really put your boy in the fields, man. Like this entire episode was just probably the best thing I've seen since Clone Wars season 7. I really enjoyed the Father Mortis stuff. I really enjoyed just it was a vibe. It was a vibe
Right?
for me. Like I've been longing for Anakin to show up and provide wisdom to Luke or Ahsoka and all of them. So that's a huge. This is a huge win for me. Huge
Yeah.
win.
Look, I mean, look, I'm not saying definitely Pinocchio moment, blah. Yeah, look, again, I'm not saying it was a total loss for me, right? What's up, dude? Um, you're muted again. So it's got to be on your side. Okay, so look, again, this Pinocchio moment, I mentioned it last week. Not necessarily a deal breaker for me. However, I think we're going to switch this week. I think we're going to switch this week. Let's see. Let me see here. We're going to switch. We're going to switch this week.
I'm
We're
muted.
switching. Yeah, you were. You're not anymore. Okay, so look. Um, again, it's not a huge deal breaker for me. It's not anything that truly like takes me out of the moment. The Purgle are giant whales. It's a Pinocchio moment. I just feel like if ever there was a moment of regurgitation, that's what it felt like to
Oops,
me.
I'll be right back.
But on the other side of that coin, overall great episode. The from start to finish, the world between worlds. This is still up for debate, I guess, at this point. What
It's
it
not up for anyone to
what it
say what. Go ahead.
no, go ahead, please. What is it exactly, Dan? Please tell me.
Well, I think it's up for interpretation how you can interpret it, whether it happened in her mind or whether it happened in the actual place between places is just up in the air and it's up to you. And I really think Dave did that intentionally. Now, for me, I personally think she did enter the world between worlds because the girl is part daughter and she has that within her. And Jason's sense of hearing the lightsabers is just another, confirmation for me, and I took that as Anakin. Also, it it made he Dave just flat out answered the question of where was Anakin during the sequels? There, guarding the balance of the Force. He's the father. So
Well,
that's to me.
right. Well, and we're gonna get to a little bit more of the of
It's a bold strategy, bro.
bold move, Cotton. We're gonna see how
We'll
it
see
works
how
out. Uh,
exactly.
but for me, there's a little more. There's a little more to unpack there than just using the Mortis gods as the way that to make this make sense. I think there's another way to make this make sense in that um yes, it is 100. Now the question is in chat, please, put your stamp on it. You can give us a 1 if you think it's Anakin, you can give us a 2 if you think it's something else. um I'm a solid believer that this is just Anakin being the chosen one. Anakin, from stem to stern has been labeled as the chosen one, not Luke, Anakin, not Luke. But also that in his transition into immortality in the Force, he has different access than everybody else, right? Kenobi, Yoda, all those guys are just lucky to be at the party. He's got there's more work for him to do. And like Dan is saying, whether that is, whether Dave intended that to be looked at as the father, as a Mortis god, or if this was just Anakin fulfilling his role as, balancer of the Force. Now, the question is, did Anakin pull Ahsoka out of that moment, or did she stumble into that world between worlds?
People aren't gonna like my take.
Okay, well, before people don't like your take, we're gonna bring in somebody new to the channel. We haven't had him here before, so we're gonna bring him in now while Dan's messing around. What's up, Q? How you doing? Welcome.
Hey, what up,
Good,
dude?
man.
What's cracking?
How you guys doing?
Good.
We're good, dude. We're I've probably watched this episode at least 25 times trying to cut a 1-minute video. So
Wow.
it's definitely a labor of love, I guess is what you'd call it. But getting back to the question at hand is, you know, did she stumble into this accidentally, or did Anakin yank her out like Ezra?
I have a question about that that I would love to ask Dave, but is it really the world between worlds? Is my question.
Well, and that's the ongoing
You know.
debate, and the only reason, and I've been a long time subscriber to this notion that Ezra is kind of a key holder, right? If you kind of go by the old, Ghostbusters, uh, um, by the old Ghostbusters mentality, then he's the key holder, right?
Hmm.
But and Ezra has full access. That's one of his special abilities. But you know, it seems like this looks like the world between world without gates. Number one, right?
Yeah.
We don't see any of the
That's my
portal
first
and
clue.
right. Well, and that was my initial argument for it not being the world between worlds, it being something in her head.
Yeah.
As I dissect this episode more and more, I am starting to believe more and more that this is the world between worlds, that Anakin has a unique access because of him being the chosen one, right? Because he didn't, die a Sith, because he came back, because he understands the true nature of balance. He's been good, he's been bad, he's been on both sides. And that's kind of what this avatar, if you will, represents. It represents both sides of the coin that is Anakin. So I don't come and Q, you've never really been here. I don't know how much you've watched, but I don't present things without facts, right? I don't present things without evidence. I am almost, if you will, a Star Wars lawyer. Okay. I have started to bring documentation and evidence and precedent to the argument without just
My
without
wife is a lawyer.
not just speculation
Well,
anymore.
fine. Then I will be representing the people in
Okay,
chat
you represent the
on the
people.
other side of, unfortunately, a majority of what you're saying. I feel weird because although I want all that to be true,
Mm-hmm.
for me, this was an Ahsoka moment where she almost died. I really think that this was a life and death thing, but it
Mhm.
was her own will, her own conscience that she had to kind of snap out of. My first, I guess, rebuttal of evidence, because I know what you're going to say is the lightsaber sounds, and
No,
Jason hearing this
not even
is
going there yet. That's later down the road. That's in
I
final
guess
closing
it's
okay.
just
argument.
Okay, so then I'll just present my argument. I feel
Present,
like that
please
this
present your argument.
was the life and death moment in her mind where it's like, am I going to quit right now and die, or am I going to do what I need to do, pull myself mentally through this?
Mhm.
She had to mentally confront her master, someone that she has not actually confronted since she left, since she found out that he's Vader, etc. So yeah, for me, this was just a mental challenge for her, 100% in her mind.
I kind of agree with that, sort of. I think that it's.
And I have evidence that will.
Oh, maybe I'm going to say the same thing, but just in a different way. I kind of feel like, yeah, like she was just about to die, and it was just her mind saying, you can either let go or you can fight for it. And it just manifested like as a, you know how they say your life flashes before your eyes when you die kind of situation? Like maybe it manifested as that. But that whole thing with Jason and him hearing the lightsabers, that's a different, that kind of makes me feel like she really was there, because that's, it's
Well,
kind of hard to imagine he could hear that if she was dead.
I'm gonna let the people's attorney handle that side of it, because I don't want to make the argument for you. I'm not going to present my argument. But initially, look, I was on that train because I'm very much of the Harry Potter school,
Mhm.
right? I'm very much in that last scene where we see Harry in the train station after he gives himself up and sacrifices him, and he sees Voldemort under a bench in a little rot, and then he has this conversation with Dumbledore about, is this real?
Mhm.
Well, just because it's happening in your mind doesn't make it less real, right? That's the statement I get from that. I mean, and I'm trying to attribute that same logic here, but after more evidence, after more in-depth digging, I find these moments that Anakin gives us that lead me to believe this is the world between worlds. This is him having unvetted access to the world between worlds, not because he embodies the Father's essence.
Mhm.
This has always been part of his destiny. The Father was just saying, you have to do it now, or more darkness will fall upon the galaxy, right? If you don't do this now, the balance is off, and it's going to be nothing but death. And that's exactly what happened. So in his death, once he becomes a Force ghost, he has a little more access to the living Force, to the world between worlds, to all of these different places as a Force ghost that maybe some of the other masters don't, right? So the first thing that I noticed, and it's in the initial scene, right, where we get this moment where he's talking to Ahsoka, and they're talking about the fight in particular. And he keeps looking to I don't want to north, south, east, west this thing. It's going to be really hard because it's completely fourth dimension.
Yeah.
But he keeps looking in one direction, right? Specifically in the first scene when he's talking to her and he's like, "You lost a fight." And she's like, "Oh, I don't remember." And he looks to his right, which is odd. And he's like, "Well, trust me, you did." Right. And then so that's this moment here that I have pulled up. And basically it's this moment where they're
Do you
having,
think there's a gate there that he can see that she can't see?
I don't think he needs a gate.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah.
I think based on what we see throughout the episode, he doesn't need a gate. He can do whatever he wants here. Right. So when he cuts the bridge, cuts the walkway, he knows what's going to happen. She is going to fall into a moment in her past, but having full consciousness of this moment. She's not young Ahsoka. She's still the 40-some-year-old mental projection of Ahsoka in that moment, right? It's a constant mental projection. She's in these moments having lived it already. Now, we go a little further, and I want the defense's lawyer present. So we have this moment where, Ahsoka gets old. You lost a fight, right? And then he immediately looks to his right, right? I mean, I really don't want to play it, but I'm going to play it. Right here, he looks to his right. Just like that. Oh, you guys don't have it up. Damn it.
No, we don't see it.
Okay. So it's in this moment.
Yeah.
Right?
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
He doesn't
did that
remember,
a few times.
and he looks to the right when he's talking about it. Again, a little later, when he's about to dissipate from the scene, I'll go to it. It's at the end of his time. Right here at the end, he does the same thing. He has their moment, right? Maybe it's not this yet. And then right here, right before he looks the same direction. Like he can hear the ships, like he can feel Jason almost, right? He's looking in the same direction. We go further into this, and he knows things that only Anakin would know. If this was the son, if this was somebody
else. What does he know? What's an example? Some evidence of that.
Thank you. I'm glad you brought that up.
Wait, you're saying things that Ahsoka doesn't know?
Things that only Anakin would say.
I see. Okay.
Right? Oh, we lost one Dan. But we got another one back.
Somebody brought that up.
Okay. So
I'm not gonna fight you line. I'm trying to remember things that chat are saying too, because I have rebuttals for some of this that we're going over.
Well, for instance, the "I'm not gonna fight you" line. The only way that this version of Anakin knows that is having lived it, right? So
wait, say again.
Well, he says it outright. She's like, "I won't fight you," and he's like, "I've heard that before."
Yeah.
Who did he hear that from? Luke on the Death Star is like, "I won't fight you, Father," and he's like, "Well, I've heard that."
Yes, but we have heard that before as well. So just saying that to her, again, this is her depiction of Anakin.
Right, but she would never know.
Of course.
Did she say that on when they first?
But she's not referencing Luke
each other?
ever, not once. She herself did not reference Luke, not one time.
Right, but whoever told Anakin, "I won't fight you"?
I think
I'm
that
saying
she might have said that
multiple
when she was facing him as Vader, right? No,
No.
initially she didn't say that.
In the Rebels episode, did she not? That's a good question.
That's my question. Because if she said it, then maybe he just knows what she knows as well. If
It's her mental, guys.
You know what I'm saying?
Think about it from that respect.
Yeah.
He probably said, "I won't leave you."
No, she says I won't leave you, but she doesn't say I won't fight you. Right? She's like, I won't leave you, not this time. And he says, well, then you'll die. Right? If you're not going to leave, if you're not going to run,
where I came at from that specific line is that yes, it is a reference that we as the audience all know, but to her, it's just a response of
but
villain.
she wouldn't know that.
She didn't say it. Okay.
She didn't.
About,
she didn't.
Well,
she doesn't have to.
It just okay. So there's that, and then, like I said, I will tell you.
I'm just saying.
For me, that is a direct reference to Luke.
Right.
Like
yes.
100%,
As an audience member, 100%.
I've heard this before. Okay, cool. That's a direct reference to this Anakin knowing that conversation has happened, right? It's not referring to another moment in his past. No one has ever told Anakin, I won't fight you. Asajj Ventress never said it. Dooku never said it. Obi-Wan never said it. No one has ever told Anakin, sorry, dude, I won't fight you. Like, no one has ever told Anakin Skywalker that because everybody who came up against him lost, but they still fought the fight.
Right. And Anakin also says he doesn't remember the Mandalore battle, which he wasn't present.
Right, and that's exactly the other point.
Yeah.
He doesn't remember Mandalore, right?
That's a good point.
I don't remember this battle. Well, we had already separated. This is the Siege of Mandalore. Like he has no reference to this point at all. And
so
go ahead.
That's a solid argument on my side. Who was there? Anakin wasn't. Ahsoka was.
True.
This is Ahsoka manifesting Anakin in her mind.
I mean, it can still go both ways with everything said so far.
Hey, present your evidence,
and
present your evidence,
and that's
sir.
how Dave writes, right? So last thing is that as soon as Ahsoka mentions, and here's where it gets fun. As soon as Ahsoka mentions that Anakin is not the Anakin that he's supposed to be, right? As soon as we get to this moment here, and I'll put on the closed captions so that we can.
I don't remember that bit. I watched it twice, but I don't remember that bit being said.
Okay, so we get to this part here where Anakin starts explaining to Ahsoka, "You're part of my legacy, right? What I am, you are an extension of." And she says, "Well, my legacy is of war and death. So if that's my legacy, that's what I get from you." And he's like, "Well, you don't get it. You still don't get it. It's not." And he outright illustrates it, the knowledge she possesses. But more so, she starts talking to him like he was Vader, right? She knows
because this is because this right here in this moment is a adult Ahsoka coming through the young Ahsoka, talking to him as if they are standing in the world between worlds right now because she knows what's going on.
Right. Mind. She gets it. But the trigger is him. It's not her. The trigger is him. He loses his shit, right? He doesn't go, "Oh, yeah, you're right, Snips."
Well, he is intense.
Right? He loses his shit, right? As soon as she says, "Well, you're more dangerous and more powerful than anybody realized." And he's like, "Really? This is what you're talking about right now? I'm trying to teach you something. This is what okay. I gave you a chance. Back to one." And he literally says, "Back to the beginning then, where it's a choice, live or die." And it's no longer a choice of figure it out yourself. It's now a choice of, I'm going to challenge you to the death. The side of him that is Vader comes out. His eyes go red. He gets real intense and kicks her ass back into the hallway, let's call it, right? The world between world that we know, not a vision. He kicks her through the smoke. Essentially, he doesn't need a doorway. Kicks her through the smoke and then proceeds to fight some more. Now, the fact that she wins is the whole point of the lesson, right? Masters don't always win when they're trying to teach, right? You don't always have to win to lose or lose to win, so to speak. So in a teaching moment, she wins, she takes her moment, he turns back into himself and ushers her out, right?
So, question.
Go ahead.
What was the actual lesson then, other than like you won the fight or live?
I don't think it's over yet.
You don't think so? Because I was curious, because I didn't get like a lot from some of them threads. You know, we rehashed a lot of stuff, and you know, she was coming to terms with the fact that she probably felt deep down inside that was her legacy, just like death and, you know, burning. But then he kind of clarified that a little bit for her, but I don't think in the entirety that she walked away with that being clarified. But she, you know,
is this the Luke moment on Dagobah? Is that what you're saying? Is this the same as that Luke moment on Dagobah where he fights Vader? Right? Is it the same kind of mental consciousness? Was that a mental moment or was that a manifestation moment? Right.
Right. So there's a lot of confusing parts of this.
I mean, I would say that Dagobah was a trance-like state.
Was Dagobah a world between worlds moment before we knew what it was?
I'm sure they could turn it into
That's a great point.
I actually would lean more toward it being her Dagobah moment. Because I think it's still in her mind.
Well, what about
okay, can I just let me say this about
I'm going to take a drink
the
from
lessons and finishing her this whole thing about like it being a lesson to finish her training.
Mm-hmm.
Last time we saw Anakin, he is full-blown light side Force ghost. I think where Ahsoka is in her Jedi arc is where Obi-Wan was in the show protecting Luke before his master presents to him as a Force ghost. I don't believe that Ahsoka has even seen Anakin as a Force ghost yet. And I believe that when she does, this will be finishing her training. Again, I still lean toward this being a unconscious moment in her mind. The only reason I believe Jason even heard lightsabers is because he himself is a Jedi. And I mean, I don't think you guys would disagree that a Jedi could read a unconscious mind, still has thoughts racing through it. So I believe he heard her mind having this dream fight with Anakin. I believe he heard her dreams.
I was going to bring up that situation with Yoda before he figured out how to preserve his life force, I guess, after passing away, right? Where he saw all those wheels and everything. Mm-hmm. So if we were to look at Dagobah, that situation is possibly being another world between world moment, but we didn't know about it yet. I mean, could that possibly be one too? You know, a lot of stuff with the father, son, and daughter that Anakin experienced as well. Like, I know we were on that planet, but, you know, is Dave kind of trying to say here that there's a lot of things that are probably interwoven that we didn't really realize in the past? Or am I reaching?
Well, Dave kind of hints at the fact that like the portals themselves will only present to you in a moment you need them to. So in theory, maybe somebody actually went to Dagobah that needed that portal to present to them for whatever reason. The Force, I think, powerful
could that
nexus.
have been the portal that Yoda was using the whole time talking to Ezra?
That's exactly what I was about to say.
Because he was there in theory, yeah, maybe. I like that.
Bruh. Something, goddamn it! Oh man!
But that's just it. There's the key about it is that Ezra is unique in this whole thing in that he can unlock all the doorways.
Which is interesting.
When he enters, he sees it all. Right? Whether that's an ability,
sees all, but we've only seen him go through one.
True.
In theory.
Two with the Dathomirian doorway. And again, that wasn't a doorway. See, and that's why I'm saying that this could have been Anakin reaching into the physical world, yanking her out of another moment, only because that's exactly what Ezra did. The portal wasn't on the wall, and she was next to the wall, and he snatched her up, and that, you know, she disappeared into the wall. They were in the middle of the grand room next
But I think it has to be one or the other. If it actually is Anakin, he's not going to manifest and switch back and forth. It would be actually Anakin from Return of the Sith or Revenge of the Sith. Somehow he discovered World Between Worlds in that time period. Or it has to be the other.
Well, but that's what I'm saying.
It
If
can't be.
Anakin can manifest himself in the world between worlds,
You're saying because of now he's dead and he's
Because he's
ascended
dead.
and
He is-
chosen one.
he's
I
part
want
of
all
the-
that chosen one, like those
he's
deep sweaty
part of the
chosen one. I
cosmic
want that
force,
to be
right?
true.
like
Yeah, I'm wondering about that too. Like, did he actually take the father's place, or like, is it
That's
just?
what
Is it?
I don't
just-
think so.
Is there an entity
seen him as
in
a
the
Force
world
ghost.
between worlds that actually just takes the look of a being that you're closest to? That's my question. Like, is there somebody else there? You know,
If it
Or
was, whoever that being wasn't there when Ezra and Ahsoka were there.
that's what I'm.
that's true. Yeah,
And that's kind of
Yeah.
what I'm saying. If that was true, Ezra would have ran into him
Right.
immediately.
Yeah.
And would have had a guide instead of having to figure it out for themselves, right? This is a place that is, you know,
It's still hot.
this is a place where, you know, Anakin is unique in that Dave has already illustrated and talked about him being the most powerful Jedi that has ever graced the universe, and that in that he has unique abilities. Even in his death, becoming a Force ghost, he has greater abilities potentially. And does that?
Potentially.
I mean, I don't know. I don't write the shit.
I'm just saying potentially is a key word because all we've seen him as is a literal Force ghost.
Right. But this is also a moment where if it's just a vision, if it's just a sleep induced vision, and she is floating in the distance for potentially hours and hours, right?
Right.
How, I mean, I get Leia in space without a spacesuit logic. That's
I mean,
where
you
we're
could be
tre-
unconscious
that's where we're
underwater
treading for not hours. You can't be upside down.
I mean, no one's
in a
saying it was
pool for-
hours. They were
for a
searching
day.
for a pretty long time.
I mean, potentially that's hours. You listen to
Hera
to
and them were above the surface of the atmosphere while that fight was happening.
right.
Came down
I mean,
very
somebody
shortly
could make the
after.
argument that maybe
Immediately
not,
after they jumped to
I don't know.
hyperspace, they were searching.
Yeah.
And what's our X-wing pilot's name?
Yeah, homie sounded.
Carson.
He sounded tired
Carson.
of looking for her like time has gone by.
Mr. Kim?
Yeah, he did. He did.
Yeah, it seems like a duration. It's not a, you know, a period of an hour that has gone by. It has been exhausted to the point where he's like, "Yo, we're gonna run out of gas. We're gonna be stuck here
Yeah.
forever." Right? They're
Heard.
gonna come down and put us in shackles when they get here, right? So I mean, there's a duration of time that has gone by to where it seems like the pilots are exhausted and everybody's ready to give up. She would be dead. The fall potentially should have killed her,
Well,
right? I mean, you're talking about an unconscious person falling a feet of what? 200 feet? Let's be
Or
generous.
did when she hit the
Well,
water? is when
question
she went
though.
unconscious?
do we know much about her species in terms of like? First of all, is my mic still hot?
No, you sound great.
No, it's better.
Okay.
They
gotcha.
cannot breathe underwater.
They cannot breathe in. Okay.
No, we saw that in the Mount
I won't
Calamari
even
arc.
complicate it as much as that.
I'm just
I will
saying.
just say that I will just say that a Jedi mind is very powerful, and I'll leave it at that.
Yeah,
It
but
just seems like Anakin's actions just seem to be conscious of what is happening in the real world, right?
So- maybe
And
she,
she
wasn't
was found
physically present
immediate-
then, so maybe she really was in the world between worlds, and that's the only
She-
answer.
She was found immediately when
Hmm.
Chopper got close enough.
Well, Chopper wasn't on.
He needed to be over the water.
Was he on the ship?
He was seeing something and told her that she needed to be closer to the water, and that's when they picked her up. But I think she was just so far out, and that's why it took him so long to pick her up.
I don't think she was
She was
there.
drifting.
I don't
don't
think
think she was there.
Chopper was on the.
I like that. I like
Here.
that.
Here, I'll
Because
show
that's the only explanation
Okay.
for her is surviving underwater for that long. I do
Chopper.
not believe that she was there yet. I think that she was on her
I
way
don't think she
back,
was there that long.
and
Truthfully,
she like right when Anakin let her go. I think that's when probably they could start to sense that she was closer.
Hmm.
That's the only explanation for it. Because otherwise,
Yes.
like, how did she survive in the water for like that? Like, because you're
That's
right.
that's
They
a
were-
great point because we were talking about entrances and gateways and portals. From
Mhm.
what we know, you need that
which there are none.
exactly
Yeah.
when she
That's another-
enters. Well, we don't see how she enters. We see how she
don't.
leaves,
Mhm.
and that's through the water. So potentially, that's the same way she got in the world between worlds, the same way she got out.
Yeah, he wasn't. Chopper was with Jason on the shoreline. He
Yeah.
wasn't on the ship, so he started to sense her out of nowhere.
So
They've
she
been
came
searching,
back.
so she comes back to the mortal world potentially.
Maybe.
It seems like there is this, like I said, Anakin keeps looking to the same place.
Mhm.
Like when she first gets there, it's like he had watched the whole thing on a TV. Like he was sitting there watching her get her ass kicked, going, "Uh oh, she's about to go over there." No, he didn't. Oh, he did. He threw her over the edge. I better grab her. Right?
Is that
That's
canon though, Stanley? I don't know if that's
what's that?
canon. The
Force
force hibernation.
hibernation.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's the question.
So here's something I'll present as evidence. You guys have seen lots of movies with water and filling up of rooms, etc.
Mm-hmm.
In most scenarios where you see that happening and the person's not actually trapped in a room filling with water, what is happening to that person in that moment? Are they conscious? Because I've seen multiple cinematic moments where someone is unconscious underwater. They're having a dream inside their mind. The room is filling with water. They wake up, they're underwater. So for me, again, this is just the water rising around her is just her consciousness coming back to her. And then when her face goes under, it's like, okay, I'm back in my own mind now, conscious.
It can still go
It
both
played
ways.
like a lot of the transitions. Can we talk about transitions?
Did
Because
she
that's
spit
what's
water
making
out when she came back though?
no.
Okay,
So there was
yeah.
no potential drowning. There was no,
Yeah.
See, I just feel like for me, I just feel like these ideas of of the Mortis gods is it's not really going to play the way everybody feels that it's going to play. Everybody expects these three entities to become the manifestation of the new Mortis gods.
I mean, for a week, y'all thought Anakin was the son tricking her. So
Mhm.
I have never
did.
stated
I
that
thought it would be
outright.
cool.
But
except Obsession, the entire Star Wars fan.
mean,
I
look,
thought it was an alternate version of him who came back as Vader who didn't get burned. That's who I thought it was.
I mean, I was on Scotty's train of it being more of a dreamscape, right? Of a guided manifestation of what she needed to hear. But
It's a spirit walk for me. It's like
right.
her life flashing before her eyes. And it's her Jedi life because honestly, her normal life isn't holding her back. It's her life as a Jedi that's holding her back. She doesn't know whether she wants to take up the mantle of Jedi again or not.
Well,
So
and I
it's
feel like that's a lot of what was going on here is that she has been lost
Mhm.
for a decade. Right now, she goes in and she helps the rebellion. But what happens after the rebellion? Right? She trains Sabine, but then they have a falling out. She's trying to train a Jedi that can't use the Force. That's a huge contradiction and a difficult task as a whole. So it seems like she's just stumbling. And even Hugh Yang says it all the time. Like Sabine doesn't have the ability. She wouldn't make it even as a Padawan in the Jedi Order. This is a waste of time. Right? He's constantly reminding her of that when there's a 10-year-old boy that is starting to show abilities, right?
Yeah.
So there's this whole thing of her being lost. Are you going to be a Jedi or are you not? Are you going to start following the path again? Or are you just going to are you just going to die? You're just going to give up, because that's what you're doing always, right? That's what she did against Balin. It didn't even look like she was trying, you know, in a lot of these situations. So I just feel like I'm curious if we're going to get answers to whether this in the later episodes, if Hayden's in another episode, are we going to get more answers? Are we going to see more Hayden down the road? Are we going to get a Luke and Hayden interaction, a Luke and Anakin interaction? There's a lot of what ifs on the horizon, but this moment looked beautiful, right? If the one thing I think everybody can agree on is Dave Filoni has figured out how to do television live action.
Oh, for sure.
Everybody is clamoring for an Anakin, for like Anakin, Ahsoka live action Clone Wars, right?
Yeah.
That's what everybody.
And it looks phenomenal. It was like the masterpiece, you know.
I mean, it definitely does feel like we will be getting more Anakin. It seems like we will have more conversations. There will be more Hayden on the horizon. There's a lot more going on than we know about. Like I said, that big whiteboard that they have going on over there at Lucasfilm is amazing. Every scene in here felt great.
They only got through, like, if you really think about it, they only got through her adolescence. So there's more lessons to be taught. And I think we might even get that Mustafar scene that people were talking about potentially having.
Honestly, this was better, actually seeing them two go at it, than him trailing to her.
Like, bro, but imagine if she's skydiving and then lands on Mustafar, because that's what I thought was going to happen.
Yeah, it would have been.
I thought she was about to land right next to some lava on a floating platform, and it was going to be gang time.
Someone said there's 3 more episodes.
This is 5. Yeah, there's 3 more.
Yeah, 3 more.
I swear, I thought that it was only 6 episodes. I thought the next one was the last one.
Well, okay.
No.
Well, and let's talk about these Ahsoka moments.
Yeah.
Right. This young actress that they cast to play Ahsoka did an amazing job.
Going to get Maul? I sure did.
I had no thought that we were getting Maul.
I don't think so. No.
Or Star Killer or any other.
I gave up on Star Killer after the merit gas. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, when he turned out to be a Night Brother, yeah.
Well, but look, I mean, he really, and that again, I've been arguing that scene for a week straight. That scene was done with perfection, right? Everybody was like, "It's a smoke monster. It's a spell." Fuck yeah, it was a spell. It was a spell we had seen before. It was a spell we saw with Savage, the same exact kind of thing. He may have been an Inquisitor during the time of the Empire, but at some point she found this dude. She used her Night Sister magic. She owned him from then on out, and he did as he was told. That's bottom line. Easy to explain. The Ahsoka stuff is this episode's Ahsoka stuff was amazing, right? That the person they had doing her stunts, what was her name?
And it's very open to interpretation. I'm just not trying to hold my expectations super high, because I feel like Dave is coming at this from a very practical sense with his character, Ahsoka, you know.
Well, I mean, that's the great thing is he's doing all the work, right? He's putting in the work. He's the one sitting here doing all of the storytelling here. And this is a story that he has been itching to finish. You know, it's funny because I'm seeing a bunch of tweets. Some of them are talking about the card set that Dave put out a long time ago, telling a lot of the stuff he wanted to tell. And one of them came up on Twitter today where it was Ahsoka in a puddle, right? In a body of water. And somebody's like, the last card in the set. And it's like, no, that was card number 4, guys. I'm sorry to disappoint, but it's still another example of Dave has this story for this character lined out. One of the complaints I was hearing is that Ahsoka was too there was bad dialogue in the last scene, right before they jump into hyperspace. He's like, "Well, how do we know we're going to go to the right place?" She's like, "I don't know. I don't know where the hell we're going." He's like, "What do you mean? You know?" He's like, "We're going where the road takes us, babe. Put
Yeah.
your seatbelt on." That to me was great.
I like it.
Ahsoka writing.
That
Yeah.
was Ahsoka. Like, what the hell are people
Following the Force at that
Literally.
point.
Yeah, I mean, basically,
Just the will Force is gonna show us.
and that, you know, it's funny. Everybody's like, "Oh, she's dressed in white. She's got all this garb on." I mean, there's a long way to go.
Yes.
There's a long way to
Exactly.
go before we get anywhere.
Don't get too hasty now. She isn't
regarding
Ahsoka
that.
the White yet. Maybe.
We definitely have hit a point
maybe.
where it's kind of like when Anakin, and that's kind of why I just feel like this moment was very, very Anakin, very not Ahsoka's mindset, just very Anakin in that they go through this little thing and she comes out of it the same way she came out of it when he gave her sabers back. Like her power level at this point just goes up every time they have these little moments together, right? So right after she gets her sabers back before the Siege of Mandalore, she jumps out of a perfectly good gunship with no parachute, with no jetpack. She's like, "See you on the bottom, guys. Bye." And has this moment of perfection in the Force where she is just so fluid, right? Now we have another moment where she has this with Anakin, another moment of clarity, and all of a sudden she's talking to space whales, right? She's literally standing on the edge of her ship, chatting with the Purgle, going, "Hey, bro,
open up. I need a ride. Open the fuck up. Come on, man. Give motherfucker a ride."
and these two hitch a ride in the mouth." The Pinocchio story. This is the only thing that really bothered me this episode.
Well, you know what else it does is it has me even more concerned now about Ezra, Thrawn, and the people in the ships with the open windows. Like, we talked about this. I mean, shit, we talked about this when that happened. Like, do we know if the Purgle only hyperspace exit and enter from atmospheres, or did they come out in the upper atmosphere? And did Ezra immediately have to like do some Jedi shit to save everybody? You know what I mean? Like, we don't know.
We've seen moments like Ahsoka in the World Between Worlds with Ezra using the Force to protect each other. We've seen another example of that with Kanan protecting the Ghost crew when the fuel pod was about to explode. We've seen these moments where you can hold off certain things. It just seems like, I don't know.
I kind of feel like that's going to be one of those unanswered things. I don't know that we'll ever really, unless they drop us in with like a flashback. They show, well, I guess it's not really a flashback, is it? Dave just like shows us what happened when he got there. I don't know, man. I don't know if they ever addressed that.
Well, unless we're gonna just flat out see another, a flashback episode of Balin and Shin for the entirety of episode 6. So we're getting Ezra pretty soon. So
that might be what we're getting.
Well, I don't think we'll get Ezra in the next episode. I think we'll get him in the last 2, if anything, only because he's only slated. According to the information we're allowed to have, he's only slated for 2 episodes.
Oh shit!
So it's more than likely going to be the last 2 episodes where we see, or potentially the season finale, because we've already seen Ezra in a hologram already. So it might just be the season finale.
Damn.
So I mean, it's just gonna.
You think we see Thrawn at all?
Episode of Ezra and Thrawn surviving.
The end. I think we see both of them at the end. To be honest.
Okay, so like the whole build up, everyone was excited for Thrawn. We will just get him in the finale.
Well, look, I mean, the thing is,
halfway expecting that anyway, but
yeah, I mean, I wasn't expecting one season of this show no more than I was expecting one season of the other shows. Right?
Wasn't this supposed to be set up like Marvel and lead into a movie?
This is
That's what someone
probably
said.
going to be one of the lead-ins into the Filoni movie.
So if it
Mhm.
ends with Thrawn, we not see any of this stuff again until the movie.
Right. Unless it plays,
Beauty.
in the skeleton crew, we ain't
Then-
getting
well,
shit.
I forgot about
Acolyte.
that.
Acolyte. But yeah, I mean, in this time space, no, I don't think. I think we're done until Filoni's movie, only because.
And the Mando movie, the season 4 getting turned into.
Yeah, I mean that's again. I feel like that leads right into this. I feel like one leads into the other. They
I
both
will
play.
say, I like the way he sprinkled the Purgles. The whales are called Purgles, right?
Yeah.
For,
I like how you sprinkled it throughout the first few episodes, and you didn't necessarily, because like you assumed that they were going to use one of them to go where they needed to go eventually, or I did. But he didn't really put it in your face, like they're here. I mean, in a way where like, oh, we obviously have to use this. You know, he kind of built up to really, I think, in a perfect
Well, I
way,
mean,
honestly.
they kind of built this as a nexus point almost
Mhm.
for all things. You know, if this is where the hyperspace lane was identified, this is also a Purgle breeding ground.
well,
Right.
so
This-
I thought how it was going to play out was initially, the idea of Anakin just taking her, showing her these different realities and shit. I thought it was going to end, if it did go that way, with Anakin showing her where her friends are, and she just walks out into that new galaxy
I
through the
thought
portal.
that too. For a
Well,
little
that's
bit.
kind of what I expected with the idea of the gate, you know, the world between worlds portal in the star map. Like that's what kind of always got me is there's this big round ring that looks just like the Lothal temple entrance. You don't see it unless the map is engaged.
Mhm.
Again, can't speak to the physics of how this works, but again, that just seems like this is a nexus point for all things leading to that next galaxy. Whether you're using a world between worlds, whether you're using a star map, or whether you're following the Purgle,
Mhm.
whatever the case is, this seems to be the point of the place at where you leave to go to this new galaxy. This is where the space lane is to go to that galaxy, right? Whether there's one or many, this is the one that's known about according to this map. Now, the Purgle, you know, it's continuously been said. Hugh Yang said it in this series already that the Purgle traveled in between galaxies. You know, we hear it in Rebels that the Purgle were the inspiration for hyperspace. The Purgle are no doubt going to lead our two heroes into the next galaxy, finding Ezra or finding the Purgle that went before. Because I don't think these are the same whales.
No.
You don't think they jump back and forth?
No.
10 years, maybe.
I think it could be the same because I'm not
I don't know
sure
if it's
how
the exact
many.
same, but yeah.
Because they do travel in like not a herd, pods.
Pods.
That's what it's
Whales
called.
travel in pods.
Maybe he
That's
knows,
the
or
word.
maybe they know.
You think
Will
there's
that-
multiple pods? Because I think
mean-
they're pretty rare.
Yeah, I think they're a breed, a race of them.
I mean, just like any other whales, any other species of ocean dwellers,
then-
Yeah.
there's usually multiple pods. There's usually multiple,
You don't think they're like other whales and people hunt them?
unless yeah.
Come on.
Apparently not.
Hey,
'Cause
I'm trying to.
they
Hey,
could just drive through ships. Apparently not, because they're
Yeah.
apparently impenetrable.
listen. I want them to be the same whales because they will recognize these people and have no issue
look,
taking them.
I like the idea. The only thing I can say is I think this could be a breeding ground.
Mm.
There were more here than we saw in Rebels. in
Smaller
either-
too, right?
Small, bit. There were smaller. There were bigger.
Maybe this is where they come to breed and then they travel back to where
That's
they
what I'm
live,
saying. So could it be
like
could
a
one or two of
salmon or
them?
anything else.
Could that
The
big
ones
mamma
that took
jamma
Ezra
jamma have
were-
been one of the ones that grabbed onto a ship and was like, "Hey, I'll take you. I'm the bus driver." Cool.
Maybe.
My second question is like, are they gonna replace the Rakatans for like? Because the Rakatans and like Legends were, I think, responsible for a lot of the hyperspace stuff that was developed too, right? So, or
Correct.
Well,
or-
if you've been
Yeah, I'm
following-
curious how our galaxy got cut off from all that tech, because we still don't know. Like
Well, there was a Rakatan war, so I mean,
Mhm.
essentially, you're probably, I'm going to
we
use
got isolated.
I'm going to use another nerd reference here, but you know, in Stargate, you stop fighting one enemy when you have another one at your doorstep. You stop exploring other galaxies. You stop doing other things when you have a war at your doorstep. So ultimately, you know, if there was a Rakatan war in their galaxy, they would have stopped coming this way to handle the enemy at their doorstep. Now, it just depends on which direction Dave decides to go. Is it going to be the Rakatan Empire? Is it the Kree? Is it the Chiss? Is it, you know,
Kree, that's
I'm sorry, the
Hmm.
Chiss and there's another one I can't remember right now, but
the Yuzon Vong.
the Yusan Vong.
The
Thank you.
usual, yeah.
There's other dangers out in the larger unknown space, so it just depends on which direction they decide to go. If it's, you know, I feel like it's going to be the Rakatan Empire, only because in Andor we catch reference to the Rakatan Kyber, and he's got a real bitchin' ship that is somehow powered by Kyber and has lightsaber defenses. So, I mean, it seems like that has already been kind of teed up through, you know, things like KOTOR, things like, you know, Andor. It seems like that kind of already been teed up.
I want it to be the Yusong Vong, because
I don't
that
think
is
do that.
well, I think it's the best choice, because
Might end up getting-
Thrawn's entire motivation is this overarching external threat that he knows is out there, that is way, way, way worse than the Empire, the First Order himself combined. Like he would need everybody to fight against this threat. I think that's what I would like them to go there, even if it's not them, just some type of threat that we are completely unaware of. And our little galaxy here has been isolated. And now it's like, so us discovering this path of Peridia and a way to another galaxy is like us as humans discovering nuclear energy and inviting aliens to be like, oh shit, there are people over there.
Well,
So
I mean,
maybe they don't even know we're here because we're so ancient compared to, or so new compared to them, you know? Like, I don't know.
See, yeah.
That was a lot of reaching and speculation. What do you think?
The idea of having just another army to fight sounds cool, because that's essentially what they are, just armies looking to take over everything and destroy the Grist, the Yuzon Vong, the Rakata. They're all operating the same. So no matter which one you pick is going to end in the same result. We all got to team up to stop these guys. Now, what would be an interesting twist is maybe I think Thrawn might have a Rakata already with him while he's out there. But I don't think I personally think the big threat is going to be Abeloth, but that's just, you know, Dan's own personal hype. Now, what would be interesting though is if it ties back into my Anakin Father Mortis thing, if he tries to see Padme again, he fucks up and accidentally turns the spirit of Padme into Abeloth. But that's just me again.
That'd be something for sure.
Right.
now, don't you feel like that? Don't you feel like at this point for Anakin that journey is over?
Well,
because they're both part of the cosmic force now, and he can feel her through the cosmic force.
I think yes and no, because Anakin still has shit left to do.
But I feel like as a Jedi who transitions and keeps his identity in the Force, you have to have let go of all your attachments that bind you to this existence.
Oh yeah. No, I think he's done trying to bring her back to life, but he never ever reunited with her. Yes,
right. Well, I mean, in death, you reunite with everybody. No one's ever really gone.
Until you see them, I guess.
Cashing that shell check tonight.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm cashing that in all the time. I was grifting with my thumbnail. That's the only thing I was really grifting about was the Pinocchio moment, man. That's the only thing that really caught me. That's like that end of Mandalorian season 3, that circle, that woo whoop, like that whole thing threw me out of it.
If y'all want to see Luke have that conversation with Anakin, goddamn it, bring Padme back too, so she can meet her son. Goddamn it.
I don't really want those moments.
Fuck!
I know I'm one of those people that doesn't want those moments. I don't.
Why you gotta share?
I don't need it. Do we need it? Do we need to? Do we need it? Can't he get
You
that?
might not need it, but
Can't he get that same reference from Ahsoka?
hell no, because everybody wants Luke to bone Ahsoka. The fuck?
Yeah, I don't want none of that action. I want that Mara Jade action so that he has
Not
a reason,
everybody.
he has no reason to go off to go off in his PTSD retirement, right? Like I want that Mara Jade story so that he buries his wife on Octu. Like that's that shit that I want. Why was he on the top of that mountain hanging out in his sad robes in retirement? Because he was up there giving her a, you
I
know,
was just thinking about that today. The fact that the whole arc with him and Ben, like that drove him to go to the links he did to hide. I don't think that that's it because like,
Well,
he's already gone through so much stuff.
we go.
right?
Dan hates this because we go through this every week.
Every
We
goddamn
go through this every week. Somebody always brings it up, and he's like, "God damn it, how are you? I'm so tired of this."
Whoa!
So, but yeah, that there are two different schools of thought.
Yeah.
One is simply that nothing could drive the Messiah to PTSD. He is above that because he is the new Messiah, right? Luke Skywalker being space Jesus,
The
right?
second coming. Yes.
People look at him as Space Jesus.
Dude, he is infallible. He is in. I swear on Luke Skywalker that I know and love Star Wars in all shapes and forms better than anybody because Luke is the Messiah and is infallible. Like
He's
that
either
is
Space
that
Jesus
is the
or
oath that they
he's
take.
Superman / Optimus Prime. Pick one.
I thought
That's it.
Obi-Wan was Space Jesus. I'm confused.
Well, Obi-Wan is more
Obi-Wan
like
looks like
Space
the pictures
Moses.
of
If I'm
Jesus.
really breaking it down, he looks like Space Jesus, but Obi-Wan is actually more like Space Moses, right? And Anakin and really Luke is like is everybody's Messiah, dude. He can't do wrong, dude. I bring up Luke having PTSD, people lose their goddamn minds.
This motherfucker right here got back on this PTSD bullshit. You hear this bullshit?
This is what, dude. That's what they say. I'm okay with it because
There was a time where Obsession was literally not allowed to say PTSD without
yeah. There was a
My
time.
without
argument-
some asshole freaking out. It was
But-
My
some-
argument for that would be, or against all of that would be, like, I mean, if you're looking at a Messiah from not having any kind of chance of feeling PTSD or being fallible, I mean, there are plenty of like references in history of people who are supposed to be messiahs who actually had a lot of that stuff. I mean,
Well,
like,
in this moment, and here,
yeah.
in the Reader's Digest version is this: you can't care about a group of people,
Mm.
have your personal apprentice, the person you're showing the whole world to, betray everything and kill everybody you love, right? Including your wife and kids. That's why I want that Mara Jade shit to be legit. Because I want Luke to have a wife and kids that Ben Solo murders. And that's what drives him.
Palpatine.
Whatever. No, Ben Solo. It's Ben. Ben's the one that's like hi-yahing people in their sleep. Come on, man.
No,
I want to
no.
see
Or a
that.
night
violent-
of
No,
Ren.
he never did that. He
Would
never-
like
not
to see
one
a
time.
Knight of Ren in live action. Actually,
Ben
do
Solo
something.
That's
killed
what I want.
nobody.
Yeah, dude. I want
Ben
that
Solo.
Yeah, I
For the
want Adam
record.
Driver's little kid to play young Ben Solo and go crazy murdering little kids in their sleep. Kind of.
Respectfully, fuck both of those ideas. # Mary J lives. Come on.
For
Nah,
the
dude.
record, the
Okay.
record, Ben Solo only killed one Jedi.
As
and it
we
was
know, as far as we know.
accidental
Yeah.
because 3 of them were chasing him, and all he was trying to do was get away.
Didn't he kill those other
For the
two
record.
when he fell
Wasn't that Leia? No, I'm sorry. That was the wrong show.
I have a question about. Have you guys all played Jedi Survivor?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I haven't
I
really
tried.
made it through, but I know everything that's going on.
So the planet that's hidden in that gaseous whatever, right?
The Koba Abyss.
Yeah.
Baby.
Is that, you think that's ever going to come into live action? Like, is
It
that
should. Yeah.
you know?
I think it will.
And like, why are we
I
going?
think Cal Kestis will too.
Yeah, well,
think
that's
he's
my
gonna be
question.
Set up there.
Yeah, is that
You know
all?
what?
Like,
Yeah, buddy.
is that going to show up? In I wonder. I don't think it.
Well,
shows
a
up
lot
in
of
there.
that
Not
stuff.
until the 3rd game, I think.
Yeah, I think a lot of that stuff is also High
More-
Republic era stuff, right? I think
I
a lot
mean,
Well,
of
it's tied. It's heavily tied to it, but it is in the current
It's in the current.
post
Yeah.
Order 66. Like he's there, bro.
Mhm.
Say Yana doesn't even want.
Well,
Yes,
Actually,
Talonor.
The second
Talonor.
game takes place
I
in
think it's
between all that stuff. Right?
Tanalor.
It's not after. It's not after Vader. Vader's still around during that, right? The second game.
Yes.
Yeah, he's still around because the Night
Oh, there's a
Sisters and all that.
confrontation again.
Yeah, well, I mean, the Night Sisters, well, not Night Sisters.
Based
The
on what I've seen on the YouTubes, because I haven't
sisters,
gotten
like,
that far in
from
the game.
Inquisitors.
But yeah, I mean, didn't he kill Seer and have another cow battle at the end of the game? Something like that?
Yes and no.
See, there you go. I love all of that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But I think, but our buddy with the one arm. I mean, that guy refers to High Republic era, right? I mean,
Yeah,
how do you
yeah.
know more about that?
He
era?
was asleep. He was asleep for a long time, and he woke
Right,
up.
but I
and
mean,
he was mad.
I
and,
think that's the link to all that High Republic stuff. You're getting us there. You have to put it in this timeline. I've really wanted that. I was really hoping it would take us back to that Tar Vizsla era. That's kind of some of the stuff that I would really like to see. But moving forward, all of this stuff is leading into Mandoverse. We're starting to hear more about Sabine and her family being pretty much wiped off the earth. She's part of the Night of 1,000 Tears. So this whole, Ahsoka finding out in this episode that Sabine, basically betrayed her trust and gave Balin the map. This is something I'm looking forward to in episodes going forward. How does this change the dynamic in their relationship? Because there's already a lot of mistrust with these two. Balin kind of played Sabine like a fiddle. And here we are, these two groups are going to meet down the road. Is everybody going to be friends? Or
that's a good question.
or does this create conflict in that Ahsoka doesn't want them getting there at all, and Sabine has to get there?
Well, Luke and Ahsoka know each other. We know that for sure, right?
Yes.
Is it confirmed exactly at what point we are in the Mando?
Yes.
So like Mando season 3 happened, right? Is that already over, or are we in the middle of that?
I think it's safe to assume that the meeting between Ahsoka and Luke happened prior to her going to the New Beyond.
Correct. Well, and everything in this timeline is current. So
But didn't somebody say some silly stuff about like that meeting happened and like it? Wait. The thing was that Grogu and Din had spent 5 years apart.
Two.
Is that two? Okay, because someone told me 5, and I was like,
one or
that's
two.
one or two.
Too
much.
Right.
He got asked that shit on the spot and did not want to specify. People drove it home and made him say something.
It's like a year or two.
One or two.
It's a duration of time long enough to where
Luke had enough time to train Grogu.
Grogu had enough training to where. So the way that
long enough for them to tell us later and fill us in.
The way that I interpreted what John said is that it was a year until Din. It was a year.
Basically, Grogu was going into
Right
the
around a
second year with Luke.
Yeah. When Din found the armor and had the chainmail made, that was about a year. And then after that,
it's in like Batman year 2.
And then finding Luke was into the second year. So like a year and a half ish.
So like if Luke was, just say for example, if he was 27 on the Mando ship, he was 29 in Boba.
Yes. Yeah. It was a year and a half, 2 years ish. But we are past all that at this point. Ahsoka's helped Din Djarin. Boba Fett or Bo Katan has met Din. The Mandalorians are on Mandalore. Din is on Navarro, having an Andy Griffith moment with our homeboy Grogu is fishing with a fishing pole. So that all has happened. This is happening alongside the end of Mando season 3, basically.
I kind of like that they're clarifying how long it takes for some of this stuff to happen, because you start seeing hyperspace and these ships going super fast. You're like, how long did it take him to get from here?
This is something that I read and heard about the other day, was that hyperspace isn't like hyperspace that we as reality view it. So the idea of hyperspace is traveling at light speed or near the speed of light, right? So that's kind of the idea of hyperspace, is that you're traveling in a distance that then the relativity kicks in to where you're gone X amount of years and it's more years back on Earth than it was in hyperspace or near light speed or whatever. The Star Wars version of hyperspace, from what I was understanding the read the other day, is it's more like an out of dimension travel. That's why there's no time. There's less time goes by, and there's no gravitational relativity, right? So, for instance, if you leave Coruscant in hyperspace and go to Tatooine, in theory, by the theory of relativity, the time on Coruscant will have passed way faster than you in the ship going to Tatooine, right? But that doesn't happen in Star Wars. So the idea is that hyperspace in Star Wars is more like an out of dimension space travel, to where it's more like, as stupid as this sounds, bending space,
Benzo, yeah.
pencil event horizon space travel. Basically.
So is the other so are we entering the world between worlds when we travel between hyperspace?
I mean, potentially you're traveling in a dimension of space that I don't understand the science that they use, but my estimation is it's like the principles of bending space, punching a hole, traveling through the wormhole. That's why it's always round. Traveling through the wormhole and exiting on the other side without many cycles or rotations had been gone through. Yeah, basically
it's subspace.
It's subspace. Right. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. It's just a different dimension of speed.
Yes.
Right. Because we
And
see
you can collide. Like things can be in pathways.
That's why there are
things can collide.
space lanes.
Yep.
Yeah.
These
And I guess
are
that's
all
also why
lanes. Yes.
they make it a big deal about Poe, I guess, jumping in between, like while he's in the atmosphere.
Yep. Yippee.
Right.
Could he potentially? I guess he could.
So that's what I was
destroy a
saying
planet,
earlier,
right?
and somebody said something like it doesn't matter because they can leave the atmosphere. My point isn't where they can leave from. My point is like where do they come back into the known space, not out of hyperspace? Because if they're doing that above atmosphere in space, everyone's immediately in danger when they come out.
Your hyperspace calculations pinpoint you to exit space. So, like, for instance,
Purgles, though, specifically.
Well, I mean, they travel along the space lane also, but ultimately, this, for instance, people are going to hate this, Poe Dameron light skipping. That's traveling through hyperspace without a set of coordinates, just popping in and out.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, that seems a little ridiculous, right?
He's hopping in and out of atmospheric hyperspace. That's why his ship starts getting fucked up after a while. It's not so much he's getting hit. That's why he blows motivators. That's why she comes back and starts yelling at him about what he damaged.
There's so much luck involved in that.
There's so much luck because you're literally could fly through a star and exit inside of a star and you just vaporize. Yeah. Right. That's why Han Solo makes such a huge ordeal the first time we talk about hyperspace. That's why George Lucas outlined it in the first 20 minutes of the fucking movie that, what are you talking about, kid? If we don't punch these calculations right, we could fly through a star or fly into a planet. Like, he is literally giving you the outline of what is capable of hyperspace. Poe light skipping is a stupid ass idea that they illustrate perfectly when Rey starts cursing him out. Wait, you were light skipping? What are you doing? Like, there's a reason.
No,
bro, the people haters hate it, bro. It's always
not
bad
to go
writing.
Down that.
It's just like Hugh Yang and Ahsoka at the end of the episode.
Yeah.
What do you mean you don't know where we're going? We're just going to go where the Purg will take us. That's not bad writing, but that's the excuse when you want it to be something other than what it is.
Now, the only thing that really used a little unzaying on is she can't trust that thing won't just keep them in there. Like, they're inside.
What thing? She's talking to it. You know what I mean?
They had a conversation.
She's like, yo, I'm going to find you. Remember that guy, Ezra? Yo, you hooked up to this ship. Remember? You're like 10 years ago. You guys hooked up to these ships, right? You took this dude and this blue eye, this guy with red eyes and blue skin. You dove him into somewhere. See, I need you to take me there. Is this okay? Can you give me a lift? Do I got to pay the Uber fee? Like,
I
what is
think
it
she
going to take to
offered
get us on the way?
she offered a net full of fish on the
That's
other
it.
end of
She's
the
like, yo,
guy.
do I gotta get you? Look, we'll fill you up on gas. I'll pay for gas, whatever we got to do. You need new tires. We're going to hook it
All
up. I talked to my cousin. He runs a
Uh-huh.
tire shop. No big
You
deal.
need a front end alignment? We got
You know,
you. Know what I
she was
mean?
having a conversation with him. It ultimately, I like that she is going more into her force abilities after having this experience with Anakin. She's like, yo, all right. I mean, she changes her headdress, right? That's always been a huge indication of Ahsoka transition, right? Is whenever she changes her headdress, that's usually indicating a maturity, a next level, right? It happened when we see her on the Siege of Mandalore. She changes her outfit, she changes what she's wearing. All of a sudden, it's like a power up. So it just, ultimately, it's going to be a thing. The last thing I want to talk about: how do you guys feel about this whole Jason Syndulla in this episode? Do you feel like this is going to lead him to the Skeleton Crew storyline, or is this something we're going to may potentially see Ahsoka taking on a young apprentice, or does he end up at Luke's?
Either or is fine with me, honestly. As long as he makes it out of the temple before it burns down, that's cool. But if he's with the kids, even great. More Jason is always good. If Ahsoka takes him along with, like, you really can't go wrong with any of those choices. So I'm cool off either.
It's tough. Hera's not leaving the galaxy.
No.
I don't know what he'll do. I don't know it, because we speculated that he might not even know everything there is to know about Kanan. And I wouldn't put it past Hera to be kind of protecting him from that, because there are no more Jedi, really, if you think about it. Does Hera know who Luke Skywalker even is?
I think that
is he involved in the wars at this time? I know he does take part in the Battle of Jakku, but that's also like very, very end of the Imperial Remnant, which I hope they do in a movie. Shit, I don't know.
Right.
I think that maybe if they come back from wherever they're going now, right? If they bring Ezra back, even if they don't bring him back, if Ahsoka comes back, I think she ends up being his teacher. I don't think that they move him over
I
to
would
Luke's
like
school, because I feel like that would then tell us how, what happens to him. Because if he goes on to Luke's school, I kind of feel like he's dying.
Right.
or Ezra's apprentice.
Yeah, or Ezra's apprentice. Yeah,
Because everyone is saying that Ezra's got some new type of thing going on out there, like his own thing.
Yeah.
Now, is that something? Do you guys think is going to? Because Quentin is it? Or
Yeah. Well, Q is fine.
Q.
Whatever.
Cool. You brought up an interesting point about the different schools. So I'm thinking, or do you guys think that there's going to be some type of like cross substitute thing with Ahsoka's, Cal's, and Luke's schools combining? Or
I think there might be three different things, man. I think you're gonna have Luke's school, Ezra. Like people are saying, Ezra might have started something already where he is, right? And I think there'll be Ahsoka's way, because Ahsoka kind of has her own. I feel she has her own kind of Jedi mythology now, especially with her experience with the Bindu and all that.
yeah,
And where she is, like coming back full circle, and then kind of sort of accepting certain things now after what she just went through. It might lead her to have like a different kind of Jedi order. Maybe it's not called a Jedi order. Maybe it's something else. But like I feel like she's gonna have her own path of teaching.
Oh yeah, she's Ahsoka.
I think she's going the other way, bro.
Yeah.
I don't think she wants to. I don't think she's going to be a force user that interferes too much.
Oh, you think she's gonna take her hands off?
She says that line to Luke or to Din about not interfering with Luke and training, and how he wants to train people. I think she's just gonna learn lessons.
Before though. That was before the World Between Worlds situation we just saw, right? That might change.
I mean, she's been in the World Between Worlds many, many times before this last episode, if we're calling that the World Between Worlds again. I just think that she's gonna have a higher sense of enlightenment, that the Force really is at control, more so than we think.
Right. Damn, so that means Jason's gonna be like, if he goes to Ahsoka school, then she can teach that boy. She can have him type before he hit 30. Like that's interesting.
I could argue that maybe maybe he doesn't go to anyone's school, because if you're sitting there and you're hearing, if it's World Between Worlds,
I don't think there are schools, plural.
I mean,
Well,
he might not need a teacher for what he was doing. I mean, he could sense lightsabers on the other side. You
I
know,
don't know, man. I don't know how much Harry can take hearing, "Mommy, teach me to be a Jedi." Who
Yeah.
ain't teach me to be a Jedi? I think she's trying to get that ass up out of there.
mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, I think that was one of the things I enjoyed the most about that interaction is he's asking like any kid would, like, hey, you know how to build a lightsaber, right? Yeah, I know how to do it. Will you teach me? No. Right? Like it's such a great moment in somebody that has dealt with younglings, that has dealt with Padawans for generations, for thousands of years. It ultimately comes down to these two characters, if they're going to show up a little further down the line. Does Ahsoka have any, does she have any weight in the future to come? Right? We know that, again, we know that Thrawn has to either lose or go fight another enemy at some point and take a bunch of people with him. Is that why the Mandalorians are not players in the New Republic, in the new Empire? Right? Is that the reason that they're not around to help fight the fight? Is because they have joined with Thrawn to go fight the greater threat to the galaxy,
That'd be interesting to see.
along with Ahsoka and many others, because that's always been my argument. Where are the Mandalorians? If they've got this new covert, if they've got this new breed of soldier, so to speak, where are them? Where are they during the First Order?
Well, you think Bo-Katan would really abandon New Mandalore that quickly? I'm saying New Mandalore. I'm not sure if that's what they're gonna call it, but I mean, like they know that they can kind of live there now and rebuild.
If
So
there's a threat coming to the masses, like the Vong, like the Rakatans, whatever the greater adversary is, at some point you have to go fight, right? So I think that's the lesson we see in this episode more than anything is you want to play peacemaker. You want
I mean,
to,
they also kind of hinted that they could literally grow food underwater or underground. So I don't know. They
we'll
might be
see.
able to just hide.
But it seems like that's the lesson that Ahsoka got in this episode, is that you want to play peacemaker. You want to make this utopian galaxy. You have to get your hands dirty. You have to fight in order.
I kind of want the Mandalorians to be like the goblins in Lord of the Rings, and they're just way, 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 way down in the core of the planet.
The
And the
dwarves
only
that
time they
won
ever
everybody
come
else.
out is if you hear something, and then you just hear this.
They are the
You hear the war
they are
drums.
the dwarves of the Star Wars universe. They covet their metals. They live in mines.
I'm telling you, they have this
Right?
metal
Like,
nobody else is allowed to use.
they have this metal nobody's allowed to use.
They got the mithril, man.
That's it. It just seems.
I don't know.
This episode. Look, the Clone Wars stuff in this episode was literally, I think, the fire that's burning the internet down right now. Right, like these moments where we see Ahsoka at the Siege of Mandalore. We see. I want to say that's like Christophsis.
What do you mean?
It's early Ahsoka.
She said it was
Anakin-
one of their first battles, so I'm
Anakin
thinking
looks super young. It's you know which battle it is? I kind of know which battle it is. It's the battle where they use her strategy and it goes horribly wrong and they have to evacuate.
Oh yeah.
And she feels that guilt over losing the whole battalion. She can't see it, right? Like she's like, we got to keep fighting. And he's like, you've already lost. You just can't see it because you've already lost. And then they go back to the back lines, and that's that moment that they have is, that's something that she's repeatedly said in Clone Wars, in Rebels, right? We were designed to be keepers of the peace, not soldiers. And all she's ever known is how to be a soldier, right? Because that's what she was built to do. That's kind of what Anakin was saying in whatever it is, this Force vision, this world between worlds, whatever it is. That's kind of what the lesson was. You quit fighting, right? You quit fighting the fight, and you need to get back in the fight or just give up.
Also, I love what Brandon's saying about Rey's new masters. Need that for sure.
I mean, it's so far down the line. That's also part of the issue. I mean, you're talking about another.
You really think that she would accept people as her masters after everything she went through?
I think Ray would need some help. Yeah.
I mean, she
Maybe
would need
not.
help, but I don't know if she would like be willing to be like, "Oh, you guys are my masters."
Here's a real brain twister for you.
Mm.
Does the ancient Jedi text, do they come from where Ezra is?
Yeah, that's a good question
Right?
because
Is that how Luke finds the ancient Jedi text? Is that he's given to them by Ezra or Ahsoka after she takes them, or given to them from Ezra at some point? But do they come from the other galaxy?
Somebody better get them to Hugh Yang stat.
Right.
Does he be the guy?
But
He
my
would be the
point
guy.
being is that like they come out of somewhere, and Ray gets her hands on him in the end. Is this, at one point could we see, these Jedi texts in this iteration of what we're seeing, right?
I'm kind of disappointed that we haven't seen any inclination of like. I mean, so in the sequel trilogy, they hint at like Snoke doing all this heinous shit leading up to everything that happened, right? And like to me, we haven't seen any of that stuff,
Oh, it's coming.
and like I'm curious to see what that was and how he's gonna be treated as a character, right? What it would look like. Yeah, I'm wondering when it's coming, like, and
Well, I
will
mean,
it be
look,
in the
we saw
knowing
go ahead.
knowing Palpatine, it's
Yeah.
gonna be quick. It's gonna be quick, and it's gonna be in a moment where like, okay, bro, here's Starkiller Base, here's everything all at once. I think.
Well, Starkiller Base would be that'd be kind of early though, because like there was a lot of Snoke before that. I think before it was finished, at
well,
least.
At this point, wouldn't
They didn't really know where it was. I don't think.
Yeah.
well, at this point, if it's Palpatine's chess game,
Right.
Ilum is already under construction. Ilum was probably under construction at the end of the Imperial reign.
Wasn't
Mhm.
Ilum a level in Fallen Order?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's already under construction now.
Yes.
Mhm.
That's what I'm saying. It's been under construction. It was part of the Empire's plan to extract Kyber because he knew where the Jedi got their crystals because he had full access to the archives. So he
And
knew.
Luke definitely hasn't met him yet. From what?
Well, and here's the thing: is that Snoke isn't necessarily operational yet, right? Snoke is a clone,
Right.
Snoke isn't operational yet. So we saw the cloning bats in Mando. We saw in the sequels there were several test tube clones on Exegol. So the cloning process has already begun. That whole conversation with the Shadow Council in Mando was all about the cloning versus Thrawn. The Shadow Council wanted all of the cloning stuff that Gideon had been doing over the years that he wouldn't give up because he wanted to clone himself and make himself force sensitive, right? But they wanted all that cloning technology. So when he dies at the end of Mando, they get all that information on how to and then Hux starts to clone Snoke. They start to figure out how to make that body functional and operational, and slowly but surely Snoke starts to appear as kind of what, to be honest, as crazy it is, kind of what Plagueis used to be. Right? It's amazing how Sidious designed Snoke to basically be another iteration of Plagueis.
Yeah.
A tall, powerful entity dressed in high robes, expensive garments.
That was one of the earlier theories, right? Wasn't it, that Snoke was a resurrected?
That he was a damaged body.
That was an early theory. My question, so Hux knew about Snoke being Palpatine?
No.
Or his dad
Well,
knew?
yeah, his dad did because he was part of the cloning. He was part of the Shadow Council. So yeah.
Any old Imperial remnant knew Palpatine was still alive.
Yeah.
That's
and
wild.
Hux did, but Hux got gutted basically by his own son, right?
Yeah. And
his
Ray
own son
Sloan
gutted him. So like he didn't pass on that information that that Snoke was Palpatine and Palpatine was Snoke. So Hux didn't know. The Hux we see, the kid, the one we see in the sequels didn't know. His dad did though. because he
I'm
was
gonna
part of the
charge
building.
them a convenience fee for all that convenience,
Bro, they didn't.
I mean,
They
when you
didn't
kill
just.
your own father, bro, that's pretty dark.
Bro, they
That's
didn't
fucking
just kill
dark.
this man. Can I tell you? They did
Yeah,
not
dude,
just
they
kill.
gutted him.
No, they poisoned him, and the poison like boiled this dude from the inside, like slowly. It was not an okay death. It took
Yeah, dude.
time to kill him, and that was a plot between Hux and somebody else. Yeah,
But that's what I'm saying. So he didn't, obviously, Father Hux didn't trust little Hux, so he didn't pass on all the stuff that was. And then once he's poisoned, Snoke is just Snoke, right?
That would explain a little more the animosity between him and Kylo.
Well, he helped
know.
build this new empire, and
yeah, by
Snoke
himself, basically.
gives the kingdom to
Mhm.
Kylo because Palpatine is in there trying to manipulate that Skywalker lineage.
And all the while, like Hux has no idea that it's Palpatine and that there's history with the Skywalkers and that he should literally just step aside.
Also, Kylo's being clouded by like dark.
Yes, it was Captain Phasma and Hux that plotted
all
against.
this dark magic. Kylo's fucked up.
That's why Phasma has such a high rank in the First Order, is because they hit Hux and Phasma built the First Order, basically.
Yeah, they were the mutiny that took over. And they were the last of the Imperial remnant. It's so crazy because it's only ever talked about in the Chuck Wendig books. They're saved by a ship. I don't know what that ship is. We assume it's people taking them out to where the First Order is.
The only thing about it is the First Order was like it wasn't them and the Resistance feud wasn't even that long because it was the Battle of Jakku, which was pretty much the Empire. And then years and years went by, and because the Resistance thought that the First Order was some type of Imperial remnant they could dispose of, but then they
and that's, Dan, exactly what you're saying. That's what they're setting up now in Ahsoka, is that the Imperials are everywhere in the New Republic. They didn't out anybody.
Right.
They're like, oh, everybody's friends. Let's all be friends, and they invite them in. Same thing on Andor, right? In Andor, it's the same power play, right?
Yeah.
Empire is bringing in all these former Republic people, and they're plotting against them. The same shit is happening with the New Republic. The New Republic has nothing but a bunch of spies that are helping the remnants.
Dude, the other fucked up thing is that there's entire star systems ready to just flip on the New Republic and go back to, because what's his name? Werner Herzog says it perfectly. He's talking right to Mando. He's like, do you feel more safe? Do you feel is order what you really like?
And I gotta say,
so bad, right?
The New Republic guys, they just seem like they
weak.
don't give.
No, they're weak.
Mon Mothma's literal political, her political stance is to demilitarize completely the New Republic, remove all arms, all ships, all everything, demilitarize everything to prevent another war.
So basically, she's doing what the Empire did, was demilitarize every planet except for your military. So that's the brilliance.
No, she didn't even want them to take out, like it would be like no fucking X-Wings, no Harrison Doulas, like no military.
Well, but that's just it. Look, this. They
didn't want
even
the
this
Republic
show.
represented
You
by
can
a
even see
military.
it in this show. They're setting up the Republic, the First Order flip, right? When the First Order calls out, the old Imperial loyalists flip on the New Republic, and that's why it's such a swift ass whooping. That's why it goes from this huge Republic, New Republic, to this little Resistance.
The Bloodline book really touches on what Leia deals with in the Senate. And she talks about
Senator Organa in this show. It shows that Leia is in command, bro. Like she is
Leia
there.
senses it too, dude. In the Senate, she knows that like it's not just people disagreeing with her. Like she knows the dark side has a play in it. She just can't figure shit out.
Well, so just one thing. Thank God Filoni actually did that name drop, because folk have been complaining. Oh, where are Luke and Leia and Han and all this? Bitch, Leia's in politics. Luke is off doing Jedi shit. Who knows what the hell Han is doing?
But that's just it. And Leia had already tried to be a Jedi at this point. Luke had already trained her, and she had given up to go be a politician, right? So like all of that stuff had already happened in this 10-year span, right?
Now, if we're lucky, there's an untold story in the Heir to the Empire movie where she will come out of retirement to help and do some lightsaber action. But again,
That would be cool. But ultimately, I mean, you know, if
Bro,
she
pregnant
that's
Leia.
her son
Pregnant
at the end
Leia.
of her Jedi journey, that's a null and void. Like
Avatar style, yeah.
that's null. But look, I mean, the fact that we can tell as the viewer that there are Imperial sympathizers in the Senate. Right next to Mon Mothma, Hera is fighting with this dude because he is an Imperial loyalist, and everybody can see it. You just can't say it, right? You just can't say, "Well, he's one of them," even though he was probably in on the plan, right? He's probably one of those people that was in on it. So there's so much of this infighting and this back and forth, this chess game that's going on. But ultimately, like we're getting these breadcrumbs that are slowly leading to the sequels. They're slowly implementing it. I know a lot of people don't like it, but I have one last thing I want to talk about over the next 20 minutes. I was working on a piece today that I'm releasing right now that's talking about, is this Anakin or not? I'm releasing a short. Scotty's got me very motivated with his 10,000 view Marok video. So I'm working on this thing all day. How in the actual fuck does the fandom feel like the choreography in this show is trash?
Well, no, you didn't. There was no complaints added on this
I
episode.
disagree. I have heard many of complaints from the hardcore grifters that the footwork and choreography in this episode was trash, and that this show's fight scenes are garbage.
I've heard none of that.
Well, I've seen
I've
more
heard that it's
complaints
the
than that,
misconstrued
actually.
prequel
Thank
trilogy
you.
and the sequel.
Q's on it also. He's seen more complaints than that.
I see, you know, because my timeline is like balanced. I see people praising, I see people shitting. So I'm telling you, there's a lot of people shitting right now.
Okay, and now
And
how could that be the case? Now I understand that episode 3 was peak
Mhm.
lightsaber fight scenes. Dooku, Anakin, Kenobi, Anakin, Maul, or our boy Palpatine, Yoda, right? There's some epic fight shit that goes on in episode 3,
Mhm.
right? But if you go back, like I go back to the loyalists, right? To the episodes 4, 5, and 6.
Mhm.
Dude, I just went through the Luke and Vader fight scene
Mhm.
at the end of episode 6. There's some pretty awful lightsaber scenes in those movies. The choreography is not great.
Oh yeah, no. Episodes 4, like my headcanon is the new remake one because the original one was booty
But
cheeks.
my point being is that you get this amazing fight scene with even the Balin scene, which I hate. I hate the Balin fight scene with Ahsoka. It makes my blood boil to the point that I think this episode fixes it for me.
Mm.
At the beginning of this episode, Ahsoka's fighting Anakin with one saber at the beginning until she falls down to the first battle, which I want to say was like Christophsis or one of those early battles. Again, she's got one saber. But then in the next thing, she remembers how good she is during the Battle of Mandalore, right? So she's getting her dual saber on. Her and Anakin start fighting dual saber. She pops out of that scene and she's fighting Anakin dual saber again. I think that's another point that he's trying to make, is that you shouldn't have lost to Balin fucking Skull. I knew Balin Skull. He was at the bottom of my lightsaber class. Yoda beat his ass every time. And he's like kind of mocking her. He's like, I saw it. You lost.
You lost.
Well, the one thing I'll say about some of the fights, and I don't know if it's because like maybe I'm just way overthinking this, but if they're filming television at a different like frames per second, you know what I mean? Sometimes I go and watch like a really, really high def movie. I can think of like The Hobbit, for instance, was probably the last movie I really saw at the best quality I've ever seen. I felt like I was in the scene, and there are moments where it feels like time is passing slower. So I don't know if it's like the frame rates of what I'm seeing, but the fight between Anakin and Ahsoka was slower, milliseconds slower than I
Talking
would
about
have liked it to
the
be.
first one or the little Ahsoka?
The end part where she's going ham and she's spinning her leg around, but I think that's meant for us to more clearly see the motions. Whether that makes sense to
Yeah.
anybody else but myself,
I
I
would
think
be
it did feel like it
curious.
was slowed down a little bit just to
I-
make it
I
feel
just
more
feel like-
crisp.
I'd be curious to know what the frame rate was actually shot at,
would
because I
do-
work in the field, and I can tell you right now, sometimes when you work at a certain frame rate and do certain things with effects, it looks weird.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
so I don't know if it
they're
just
shooting
felt
if
like
they're
it looked
shooting on
slow.
anything digital, they're probably shooting at 24, right? Because it's that. Well, I mean, they could be shooting at 29.97, but I doubt it. And more like in television and movies nowadays, everybody likes that 23.98, 24.
Unless they're shooting with a high-speed camera,
But
because
that's what I was about to say. Is
know.
then you bring in something like an Alexa, or you bring in something like an Amira or something like that that's shooting 240 frames per second to slow it down a little bit.
yeah,
Who
then you
could
then you
say?
got
I
some
mean,
weirdness. Yeah.
But
Yeah, so-
ultimately, to me, it just feels like that first fight scene was single saber, like
Mhm.
almost like you're lost. You don't remember who you are. I feel like if again, either way, whether it's a dream sequence, whether it's a world between worlds, either way, Anakin is reminding her of who she really is in this
Yeah.
moment. I feel like that's the lesson: is that you're lost. You forgot who you are. You don't fight with one saber. That's not the warrior I taught you to be. Right? I taught you to be this version of yourself. This is who you need to be if you're going to fight. You can't fight with half a heart. You
Mm.
have to fight with your whole essence or you're going to die. That's basically the lesson I took out of this. If you're going to fight, fight. Don't half-ass your fight, right? And
stream
that
is,
Bailey fight felt
yeah.
half-assed to me.
Yeah. The stream kind of helped me remember where she was at overall, because I gotta, be honest with you, going into the series, I did not put myself in a frame of reference to think, oh, this is where Ahsoka is as an individual.
She's
I just started
lost,
watching,
dude.
you know.
Yeah, she's got no peers.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
Yeah.
really, she feels ostracized because she feels this immense amount of guilt.
Mhm.
Bro, ostracized. She's a walking pile of living guilt. Like
She's a walking pile of PTSD.
Yeah,
that's it.
She
That's why I
certainly is.
appreciate they did
and
the live action.
she's trying to
stuff.
help people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
She's
with the young
trying
boy.
to she feels all this weight, but she's constantly trying to make things better, right?
Mhm.
She can't help it, right? It's just the way she was raised to be a person that helps people. That's why she had a problem when she left the order and she found the sisters.
Like,
because-
bro, she was 14 during the Clone Wars, going up against, having friends betray her, fighting Sith Lords, having friends die. Like, that made
Being put on trial.
Being
put on
on
trial by
trial.
your best friend, bro.
Yeah.
Your best friend.
Mm.
It's like, yo, she has every right to be on Punisher mode right now.
Well, and then she does exactly what's asked of her. She catches Maul, they fuck up, and then it's her on the run.
Yeah.
Right? And then she's on the run for all these years.
Let's not forget, she died, has a Mortis god reborn. Right.
Yeah. I mean, this young woman,
She's been through it.
she's
she's
been
been
through the ringer.
At the least.
And she still chooses to fight the good fight. And I think that's where she's at. She's lost, right? At this point, when we see her, it's been a decade since she left Malachor, potentially, or more. She has no master. She has no school. She has no calling. She fights until the rebellion wins. And then what? She helps the Republic figure shit out.
She just keeps fighting.
She just keeps like moseying along and helping whoever. She's not really fighting a fight. This is the first fight that she's had in years. So she's rusty. She's not as crisp. Her decision-making skills suck. Her apprentice kind of betrays her. That's another
Weird
part.
too, because like all the other fights that she's helped with had stakes, but this is like the one that has like the stakes, right? Like,
Well, it was really
Yeah.
a battle for her soul too, because now she's Ahsoka the White.
Or she's on her way. I don't feel like she's there yet, but I feel like she's absolutely on her way to figuring out the cheat code to the Force, right?
Right.
Figuring out the good and the bad, because a bunch of people were like, "Oh, see, she's using the dark side." Actually, she didn't. She just grabbed Shin and threw her, right? She didn't force choke her. She just grabbed her and threw her against the wall. Shin was force choking Sabine.
Yeah.
She was like, I will kill your ass. Come here, I'm gonna do the Anakin. Until you die, you bitch. Right?
Yeah.
It's I mean, really, bro, like that. I see so much. I mean, honestly, for a while, I was like, is Shin Anakin's like bastard daughter?
A little bit.
Like,
little bit.
seriously,
He's
dude,
in
like
pants.
everything about her screams Anakin, right? The force choking, the flight, you know, when she's in the ship and they have the same like it just the hair, everything, it just screams Anakin. I'm like, man, are you like a bastard daughter of fucking Anakin Skywalker? Is that what's going on right now? Are we getting on? Is this Star Wars Maury Povich? Is that what's about to happen right
God.
now? You are not the father. Is that what's going on? Because this is some crazy. That's what I thought at first. Because I'm like, bro,
Yeah.
she's force choking like Anakin. Like, what is with Balin? Does he know Anakin? Is this really Anakin's kid that he's been secretly raising all this year? Because Anakin got freaky during the Clone Wars. Like, I don't know. At least blinks.
I mean, that's true.
She's always
She
like
kinda-
staring. She's
yeah.
always got this menacing stare.
She got these big ass fish eyes.
It's honestly not menacing. Like I'm just go like,
She's just-
but whatever.
She is menacing in the fact that like you don't like she's the person that's always going to keep you guessing, bro.
She's
You
got
have no
the
idea what her
crazy eyes
next move
real
is.
bad.
Yes,
Like that's the
exactly.
girl you don't take home to your mama because she got the your mama gonna be like, get that crazy eye bitch out of my house. She got the crazy eye. She's gonna go.
And she's
You're
gonna
gonna
turn
wake
you
up with
against
something
your mama.
stab. She's gonna stab you.
None
With
of your
something.
family's going to talk to you.
She's
ever
gonna
again.
give you the shindig if you're not careful.
The shindig.
Yeah, that's what we call the stab.
Oh,
Here in
yeah.
this channel we call it shin
Uh-huh.
stab
You
Sabine.
can for that.
Shindig.
The shindig. Oh,
I'm
yeah.
savoring that, bro. I want to make a T-shirt out of that. I don't know how yet. I'm still figuring it out, but the shindig. Yeah, she's freaky, man. She's something off about her.
You know
I
what?
did-
I think I pointed this out to somebody else. You know, in that same episode where Sabine got stabbed, right, and survived. Like somebody else got stabbed a similar way at the beginning and died. So it was like hilarious.
Well, Qui-Gon died, but Qui-Gon, I was
No. On that same episode, the dude on the ship, right? Balin stabs the dude. Right
yeah.
Oh.
And he's just toast.
Well, it's about. So I was watching this video that was comparing the Qui-Gon death to the Sabine shindig, and the consensus was if you watch where Maul stabbed Qui-Gon, it was directly in the middle, severing the spine. Right, like that's the logic behind that death is that you're fucking severing the spine, you're kind of done. And then here you're like vital organ. I watched this whole video. I was like, this dude went in and did some 3D animation of like kidneys and livers and stuff and like stabbed right where it was and put a body. It was a good video. It was a good video. But
So basically, Star Wars, all you need to know is that we just want our lightsaber kills to be like John Carpenter's that From Dusk Till Dawn. You just split them from the beans to the brain, okay? And then you leave no question. Nobody will ever question. Oh,
stabbed in
why
the
didn't the
spine.
lightsaber kill him?
I'm just going to
I
say
will-
this.
I'm about to hot take
He's in
this
half
shit.
on the ground.
If you
I'm
get
about to hot
stabbed in
take-
the spine, I just want to say, if you get stabbed in the spine, I just expect you to be paralyzed. If somebody else is going to survive from
Yeah,
like just an inch away from the spine, that's all I'm
Kill him
saying.
like you mean. In game.
Here's what I'm saying. If we're gonna do that style of, nobody complained that Maul didn't have a single cut to his face, no burn marks down the forehead. His lightsaber explodes and he died. Okay.
Yeah.
Nobody complained that there were no burn marks down the middle of his face, that you didn't see, he didn't cut my face. Nothing. Nobody complained. He just died in his arms because he got beat. And everybody was okay with that, right?
I complained about his guts falling out and him surviving.
So, like, well, I mean, look, if you kept him alive. Look, I want to know how the man uses the restroom, but
Man
we're not
can't
going to talk
digest
about
food.
that.
What you talking about?
But he just survives on
Daily
what is the old from like the Breakfast Club? I survive on coffee and hatred.
Yes.
and a colostomy bag.
But you know, ultimately, look, it's if it's okay.
Hey guys, I got a dip, but it's been real talking.
We'll see you soon. We're ending
Yeah, I'll
right
go,
now
bro.
anyway. Dan, get out of here. We'll see you soon.
Perfect. All right, love y'all.
Bye. Yeah, look, if the stabbing is the biggest part of this show that people don't like, look, I don't like the Purgle in the mouth. I don't like the Pinocchio reference. It's just me. I feel like it's a little too Disney on the nose, Disney branding. I feel like it's a little too much. I would have rather them have like landed on the side of the Purgle and like engaged docking clamps or like, and then off in the yonder. But okay, if we played the Pinocchio card, fine. That's my biggest gripe. Aside from that, because somebody did mention it. Where's the lie detector? Look, I loved this episode. I did not like this one portion of it. This just the Purgle opening his mouth, letting them fly in. That was a little too Mickey Mouse for me.
I think that was their way of like dealing with people's questions about Ezra and them, though.
For sure.
Yeah.
Right?
For sure.
They didn't
They
have
had
to
to
answer
get there
that. did they?
somehow. I'm all about it. It's just, we joked about it last week. I made a legit joke like, oh, what are they going to do? Fly into his mouth like Pinocchio? And sure as fuck fire, they did it.
Yep.
So,
Hilarious.
okay, I was right. Great. But fuck, I was joking. I was joking here.
I wonder if they wrap you with the tail and then they go hyperspace.
Well,
If
but
that
see,
would destroy you.
that's what they did in the other with the starships, with the star destroyers, is they wrapped their tentacles.
Right. Didn't that's what that happened.
Yes, that's what happened in Rebels, but those ships were gigantic in comparison to Ahsoka's tiny little vessel. I mean, that's more like a fighter, transport ship, much like the Ghost. They're very small in comparison. So yeah, flying in the belly. I made a joke. It came true. Thanks, Dave Filoni, for making me look like an ass. But that's about the only complaint I had.
I wanted to bring up a comment because it reminded me of a fun fact. He said that this is talking about the Jedi texts and that he would like them to be from Tython.
Oh, okay.
Because that would be cool where the Jedi started. And I just had to reference that one of my favorite characters in the Star Wars galaxy is actually from that planet. Believe it or not, he is a Tythonian, and his name is Geode. The Rock. The Rock in the comics. He's a Tythonian. And they actually have male and female species too. I know Chillin wanted to know that, so that was for him.
Yes, he did.
Specifically. You should write that down.
I was trolling like crazy last night on Sheev's stream over at the Vader's Lair. I was trolling hard on the yucks and the mucks and the sucks. Yeah, I mean, look, I watched it a lot. I debated a lot. The more I think about this, the more I love this episode. The more I think this could be Force Ghost Anakin having that all access backstage pass to the world between worlds, just being the chosen one. I loved the young Ahsoka. I again, what I said from Jump Street, I may not have got the actress right because they kept this one real secretive. But what have I been saying this whole time coming up to this show is that the young Ahsoka scenes are going to be the most well-hidden secret of this series, and that it is going to be the hardest hitting portion of this series. And I think I can walk away saying that I was right about that. That
so far,
they kept it very under the hood. Nobody knew what they were going to show with young Ahsoka. No one knew. Did you know that they didn't upgrade? They didn't update the IMDb page until 2 hours after the show aired with the actress's name as the young Ahsoka.
They should do that more often with other stuff.
I searched for 2 hours in this office searching for who it was, and I couldn't find a lick anywhere. 2 hours later, my girlfriend gets on IMDb and she's like, oh yeah, it's this girl. I'm like, that was not there 2 hours ago because I was trying to drop that heat like it was hot. And it was not there. I couldn't find it anywhere. And then 2 hours later, they upgraded who it was because she's not listed in the credits, and wasn't listed on IMDb. So they kept this one real close to the vest. They kept this in the breast pocket, close to their heart, because they didn't let out a frame of young Ahsoka. They didn't let out a fucking leak of what this was really going to be. Nobody knew. I watch all these streams, all these leaks and spoiler streams. Nobody called this. And yeah, I'm just saying. Nobody saw this coming. They kept this very close to him. And I'm glad they did because I feel like this was just as big of a moment as Luke Skywalker in season finale Mando 2.
I think so. Yeah. And it's kind of shocking that it's episode 5. I didn't know there's 3 more episodes. So
yeah,
gullible me for that. But for this to be the episode that's this big, right?
That's not true, is it? Gamora's played by is this the same? It's not the same actress.
Pretty sure that's the same actress.
Oh yeah, actually, now you mention it, her face.
Is it really?
Yeah, her face did look familiar.
Yeah.
No shit.
Yeah,
That's crazy. Huh.
for sure.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, look, I'm yeah, Jason doesn't count. I don't listen to Jason. He ruins everything. Just like Max Verstappen ruins everything for Formula 1.
No, Lego ruins everything.
Lego ruins everything. Yeah, that's awesome. She killed it. She knocked it out of the park. The stunt
Oh yeah, that's her. I just checked her IMDb
yeah.
page. That's her for sure. Yeah,
It wasn't there this morning or last night. I'll tell you that right now. It wasn't there till about this time last night because I looked for like 1 to 2 hours last night and I couldn't find it. At 9 o'clock is when they uploaded it. She did a
Green
fantastic job. The stunt performer, her name was Riza Killa, is actually what her name is listed on the credits. She's the one that did all the Ahsoka stunt work. So all of those like crazy where you don't really see her face, I'm gathering that's the stuff she did. She was labeled as young Ahsoka stunt performer. She did an amazing job with all that saber stuff. She is a legit martial artist. If you look up Riza Killa online, she's actually a world champion martial artist and is very fluent with weapons. So picking her up and doing all of the stunt work for young Ahsoka was fantastic because this young lady is a legit martial artist. I would love to interview this woman about what she had to do to get in this mindset. Did she watch the show or did she just go based on choreography? Like those are the kind of shits I would love to get an opportunity to interview. It's like, wait, did you just go off of choreography or did you watch the show and kind of implement her flow into it? Or was it just something that they designed? Like, yeah.
Right.
Mandalore scene was not bad at all. Look, I think this scene, this secret, this character, this iteration to live action was just as monumental as Luke in Mando season 2. That's all I'm saying. That's going to be Scotty's new. No, her name is legit spelled like this. It's like Riza, or it's Riza, and then it's that's how her name is spelled. The actual young lady, the actual young lady that is the stunt performer. I looked her up. I Googled. I was like, did they because she was in Logan. She was one of the background mutants in Logan, and she was the stunt performer for the young women actors in Logan. So she did a lot of those stunt scenes. She's the same one that did Ahsoka. So I looked her up and I was like, man, she's really badass. So I like that they brought a stunt performer that had this world championship level of martial arts to bring that character even more to life than what they did. Right. Because if you look at the actress that played her, she kind of only did like the stop the blaster bolts and like this swing. The rest of it was so high volume and like,
dude,
spinning.
hopefully whoever they got for Ezra, bro, because what I heard is that his fighting form that he's supposed to have developed, and it's actually ironic because of the Maul tie-in, but it's visually going to feel like Terrace Kasi, but without a lightsaber. Supposedly all this stuff that Ezra is going to be able to do and the way that he's going to fight.
What are you talking about?
Can you hear me?
Yeah. No, I'm
Ezra Bridger?
You're saying
there's only one Ezra that I know.
He doesn't have a lightsaber, but he's still using that form.
Never mind.
No. I'm asking because I missed
visually. It's gonna look like it.
Okay. No. But I want to know is it almost
picture
like
a lightsaber? I don't know.
No, I'm saying, but is it going to be more like a kata where he's mimicking the form without the lightsaber? Like, is it and almost like Avatar when he's using wind form? You know how
that's the only thing that I can imagine.
Hopefully he can manifest. Hopefully he can manifest astral lightsabers.
That's
beams shove them down people's throats.
That's some Iron Man shit right there.
Split them from the beams to the brain. I'm telling you, man.
I mean,
go rated R already.
If this is Rakatan, though, if we are going into a Rakatan Empire kind of thing, could he have created a lightsaber using Rakatan Kyber?
That's possible,
right? Yeah. Could he find some Rakatan Kyber out in the great beyond and create a lightsaber using Rakatan Kyber?
Bro, I want all that shit to be different. I want it to be so different that it feels like Star Wars Visions. I want them to go to a planet where it's not called the Force, it's called Magica, and like the goddamn animals have it, and the animals are like floating shit around. Like, literally, give me something crazy. I don't care. I don't want it to feel like this galaxy. Point blank, period. I don't want to see nothing familiar. I don't want to see a piece of metal. I don't want to see, like.
We
I don't
might
know.
get it. I don't know.
I mean, we have seen wooden lightsabers, so I mean, Gunji
I
had a
just want
wooden
it to feel
lightsaber.
like I want it to feel like the Koba Abyss from the video game. Like, can they capture that level of excitement with an entire new galaxy, bro? If you can't do that shit,
Honestly,
know.
I don't know how much of a new galaxy they're trying to create. I don't know if they're using this.
True.
They're
True.
using this as a
But even a glimpse,
almost like what is it? I'm awful with DC, and this should be right up my alley because it's old Superman. But where did the Phantom Zone? Isn't that where they trapped Zod?
Yeah.
Here
Yeah.
in the Phantom Zone.
Mhm.
I feel like they're going to be
Okay.
using this galaxy as a Phantom Zone of where Ezra and Thrawn were trapped. Not so much.
It will feel similar to Koba, only used as that plot device, and then we never revisit.
I kind of feel like that's it, or that we get the hint, like the looming threat coming from there, but we are not going to take our fight to them. They're going to bring the fight to us, right? That's kind of how I feel like. I don't feel like that galaxy is going to be the new place where we explore. I feel like that is very much almost like a prison, almost like a place where they're trapped and they can't get out of. And that somebody has to break them out, kind of like, that mirror breaks and they escape the Phantom Zone.
So we're thinking,
what if it ends up being a bridge?
Well, I think that
something
we
else?
end up rescuing them, and then that in turn sparks whatever it is that's going to be the new threat, or the threat, I guess.
I mean, they could.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like,
this could be they wake something up.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah,
right?
they just.
That's what I'm saying. It's like
hop and
this
skip
is
over.
this is a tech that we don't know about. This is a distance we have never traveled. Now that we've redeveloped the tech or the ability to get there, that path is going to be plotted and known. But not just Morgan Elsbeth, but like,
I mean, if you can attribute, if you're a star, like I'm a huge nerd of most science fantasy. So like for me, that's very much of a Stargate mentality, is opening the gate to that galaxy, opening up the pathway to that galaxy allows an unknown enemy to forge its way towards us. All about it. I just don't feel like we are going to spend much time in that galaxy. I feel like that galaxy is going to be used as a plot motivator to, we got our people. Now we're back. The story continues. I don't feel like we're going to spend a lot of time. I don't feel like our heroes are going to spend a lot of time in that galaxy.
Which would be kind of disappointing because
because
want to know more about that place.
Because we've all talked about these voices that are calling to her, and potential other Night Sisters that banished or fled, or
that was their original home, and this is where they fled to, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of what ifs. I'm digging everything that's happening. I just feel like we need some more answers. We need some. We need more fucking answers. Like this is
in the last 2 episode cliffhangers. If they keep hitting me with cliffhangers like this,
Dave knows how to. I mean, but Dave did that in Rebels. Dave knew how to end an episode, right? Yeah. You end the episode on Kanan Jarrus pushing his friends out of harm's way, and then you go to end credit screen that's just ashes falling. Like, he knows how to end episodes. He's great at it. He took that ability from animation and brought it into live action.
If we're there the rest of the show, that's a hard sell, man.
It's a hard sell.
It's only Ahsoka, Sabine, and
it's everybody that's important.
Yeah, but they're scattered, and right now it's just Ahsoka and Huyan in a well, right?
It's Ezra, Sabine, Thrawn, and the 3 Migos on the
only
the
people that got left behind are Jason and Hera.
Yeah.
And the New Republic, who literally doesn't even think that these people exist.
And Zeb, I'm still pissed.
Think they're all dead.
Still pissed that Zeb didn't show up in one of those X-Wings. I'm still pissed that Zeb isn't part of Phoenix Squadron. Where the fuck is Zeb?
He's got to be doing something more important to
Dude,
himself.
there's nothing more important to the crew than finding Ezra.
Well, who's relaying to him that they actually found a way?
Why isn't he
Like
with Phoenix
now,
Squadron?
Hera would. Now she would, but
Why
she
isn't
didn't
he with
herself.
Phoenix
Didn't
Squadron?
even
He
know.
should be alongside the Ghost, flying an X-wing, or in the back seat shooting guns. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
I think we
He's
end with
abandoned his
like
crew.
the whole crew like being together and going to get a pizza or something. You know, does that picks them up
At the end, we can get some. What did they get at the end of Avengers?
some shawarma.
Some shawarma.
Bro, they can end it with them all standing in a different arrangement. Just give me a new mural with them all all
Yeah, I'm
aged
good
up.
on the mural. I'm good on that.
Are we going to here's the, and we'll finish up here with this. Are we going to finish with Thrawn getting on the Ring of Ion? Because that's what it is, the Rings of Sion, and heading back with his band of misfits? And are they going to leave Ezra behind? And then Ahsoka brings Ezra with the Purgle back. Right? Or are they all going to come back together?
I don't think there's
they
any
come back
togetherness.
separately. Yeah.
So that's my hook is like, did they have to go in two separate, like they got to take two cars because not everybody can hang out in the same car on the ride home. So like they get Sabine, they get Ezra, the whole Ghost crew gets in the Purgle mouth and flies home.
I mean, that's the only thing that I can see happening.
You know,
there's three ways it goes about. They all go back with Thrawn and folk, right? The ring is like something that you can leave in the other galaxy, and now it becomes a portal from there to here somehow.
I like that too.
Right? Or like Thrawn leaves them there, and they got, like you said, they hop around in the Purgle, unless Anakin pulls them into the world between worlds somehow.
I mean,
then Hugon's stuck because he ain't going there, right?
I mean that there's a lot. There's 3.
They gotta do so much to explain to me how you get an entire fleet back into our known galaxy, and Thrawn is some kind of threat.
I don't think they bring the fleet. I think they're just bringing Thrawn.
So how is he himself such a threat? He's going to be able to sway the Shadow Council and everybody. That's what they're worried about.
That's what they're biting on. Yeah, that he's going to be the heir to the Empire because he's the ranking.
Godspeed, Dave, man.
He's the Grand Admiral. There is no other Grand Admiral. Like he was anointed by Palpatine as the highest ranking official in the entire Imperial Navy. So a lot of his followers feel like he was the next in line as heir.
Yeah.
So
there's another option that we don't know what they've been doing over there this entire time. So if there are Rakatan Kybers there and they've been there for 10 years,
and we cannot underestimate the intellect.
Yeah, there's a chance that they've already built what they need. They're just chilling and waiting for some reason.
Well, that's just it. I mean, we see the ship in Andor, right? We see that powered by Rakatan Kyber. His ship is powered by Rakatan Kyber.
Well, so here's the thing too. If
could they have a Rakatan ship, several Rakatan ships built, ready to go?
They could.
Yes, so that would be cool because, in theory, him getting out there.
Oh, that's a fucking
great
idea.
So in theory, he gets out there, doesn't know where he is in that galaxy, but when they come to him and they've plotted the course, he would already have the tech to come back because they have the coordinates.
What if they fix the Chimera with Rakatan technology? And I love this, that it fits in that Ring of Sion like the old Jedi, like clamps come out and clamp onto the Chimera because it's that same.
Bro, I said that last week and everyone laughed at me. But I think
I didn't hear.
I don't even need them. So I don't even need the ships to link into it. I think it's developed like a ring purposefully, and that once it's out there, it can stay powered, and then ships can just, as soon as you cross the threshold, it's just
so like a Sonic ramp,
like shoot you forward,
like a permanent hyperspace
where you're
lane. Like a hyperspace lane that might not even need drives because it's powered, and now like if they can get another one built at the other end, like we don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We don't know if they have more than one.
I guess we'll find out soon.
Oh, we'll find out soon. Like I said, there's so much left.
I want it to open up. I want it to be like new commerce, bro. Like people passing back and forth.
I mean, we'll see. It's we got another week to wait before we get another installment, and I feel like Dave has been delivering face card after face card after face card after face card after ace after face card, just giving us all of the good stuff in these
Yeah.
first 5 episodes. And if this
Mhm.
is if we're on the back 9 at this point, I'd say the first couple of holes on the back 9 are looking sweet. So
Yeah,
I think every episode has been solid.
I love the Anakin we got. People were complaining about the saber fights. I looked at that footage and then looked at some more of the Anakin fight scenes, and the only reason that those fight scenes in episode 3 were so good was because he had a worthy partner and an opponent in his right hand fighting the left hand. So I feel like this was, I mean, watching those two duel was fantastic. Watching Ahsoka do her traditional disarming of her opponent. A lot of people were upset that Anakin lost.
Mhm.
But you know, I go back to one of my favorite quotes in all of the sequels. We are what they grow beyond. That is the true burden of all masters.
Yeah.
And that holds true. He taught her so well that he could even disarm her in combat or disarm him in combat without a lightsaber.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you wanted to hear the People's Court version of that, how many times in your own mind out of 10 are you gonna have yourself beat Anakin Skywalker? Bro, the answer's 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10 times.
I mean, sure. Yeah, in my own fantasy, sure. But again,
I rest my case.
I've put this argument on the table many times that Ahsoka is, in my opinion, the best saber wielder in the known galaxy, that she has lost very few fights. She has, like you said, since the age of 14, been fighting alongside the masters
Mm-hmm.
and has fought the greats like Asajj Ventress, Dooku, Grievous, right? Has learned from the best and most powerful Jedi of all time, and he taught her something unique in the style of fighting. And I feel like that's why she lost that fight with Balin, is that she tried something new and didn't go back to her traditional form combat and got her ass kicked because she didn't use her Shuto blade. It's just that easy. So I feel like this episode was largely about remember, almost like a Mufasa moment, almost like a Rafiki moment, right? Remember who you are,
Mhm.
right? That's the key in a lot of these stories. Remember who you are. And I feel like this is what Anakin was trying to show her in this dream, in this world between worlds, whatever it turns out to be. We're arguing the same point. The lessons were learned no matter which way it pans out. And the lesson was you have to fight the fight if you're going to fight the fight.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
thank you, Q, for coming and hanging. I'm glad you finally got to join us. We
having me.
invite a whole plethora
good
of
to see you,
people
bro.
on these nights, and whoever can make it can make it. We've been missing some of the old crew, but it's good to bring in some new friends and hang out with some other folks. Any last thoughts, Q? What do you got coming up? You got anything good going on?
Oh no, man! I'm just working on the side on music stuff and trying to build, something. That's all. I kind of miss doing this. This was fun. I don't have a lot of time to do it, but I appreciate having the opportunity to do it.
Yeah, you're always welcome to come hang with us. And, we just like to talk our stupidness and have fun while we're doing it. And everybody walks home at the end of the night with a smile. And that's the idea here. We don't argue for the sake of argument. We don't throw stones in glass houses. We present our evidence accordingly, and we try to have fun while we're doing it. And at the end, we all walk away happy. So thank you for being here. What do you got going on, Scotty? You still I saw the new thumbnail that you've been working on.
Yeah.
This dude's
glad that,
dude, I've been telling him for years now. He needs to get on Viber and like put his talents to money making, because his thumbnails are so goddamn good.
They really are good.
They really are.
Yeah.
But he got a new thumbnail coming out. He just showed us the other day. It looks hot. What's going on?
Well, I'm really focused on Balin Skull, and I'm glad that they didn't really touch on him too much more this episode, because it didn't have a chance to debunk anything that I think.
Mhm.
But my next live stream, and they come randomly because I'm family, working from home, busy. But if you hit the notification, if I'm live, I'm gaming and I'm talking about Star Wars all the time. The next stream is going to be Balin Skull heavy. I want to mention Dooku. And I want to mention again the Jensari, who are a faction of Jedi that left during the Clone Wars. Dave pulls a lot from Legends. There's a lot of little things in there that they could play on. But again, with sad as it is, Ray Stevenson's passing, anything can be rewritten, anything can be changed. So time will tell, but I'm gonna be speculating about Balin during my next one.
Yeah. Yeah, we have a lot of fun gaming, talking smack.
Weekends usually are when I'm live.
And we're trying to do, like I said, we try to do Monday or Tuesday streams before the show comes out. And we try to always get a group together after, whether it's Wednesday or Thursday, to try and chat. Usually we're not here on Wednesdays because way back Wednesday is happening. But Matt was like, you guys can go early and then I'll go after your guys has started. So he graciously let us on to Wednesdays.
The loyalists are still here. I have been dropping Star Wars shorts a lot. I did just drop one.
10K.
So people that are here who have seen the episode, you can go watch the last short I just dropped. It's the next time that Ahsoka sees Balin.
Okay.
And I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, his
pretty dope, man.
Yeah.
Congrats on that. 10,000. Holy shit.
You know what I think? What I think the kicker was on that one? It says those two guys from Discord. So I think that a lot of Star Wars fans are in some Discords with a lot of
not to mention
shitters.
you use those two guys from that one show
Breaking
that
Bad,
are very popular. So
I might be trying to target some Discord shitters in the future. So look out for that.
It works, man. Look, honestly, I make my I use the hate for fuel. I use that to power my love for the fandom. I've been seeing a lot of people singing a different tune this week with these last two episodes. So
I'm taking all of my batshit crazy theories and just memeing on them. And
yes,
it's seeming
and
to
you
do
should.
well.
Yeah,
So,
I've seen people switching up, but I've also seen people who just they're on the same
riding
road.
that hate train to the end of the rail, man, until it falls off. They're riding that hate train. There's a lot of them out there. There's a couple of them. One of the titles was that it?
Yeah.
Was one of the titles on one of the streams or one of the videos.
Yeah.
Oh God.
There's people that are saying Anakin was the only good part. What did my favorite YouTuber say in the video? They said, this episode was just a thirst for Anakin, nothing more.
Dude, I told you before this even started, when episode 8 closed scene, it's gonna be, man, I wish there was more Anakin and Ahsoka.
Yeah, that's it. That's
the
all.
Same shit they said about Obi-Wan is, man, I wish there was more Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon.
Awoka Tano is definitely out there because it's a very female-driven show up until this point.
It rhymes.
And then of course, the thirst for thirsty Star Wars fans for Anakin. That was the other one, and then of course,
that's funny though.
A lot of fans are riding that train into the end, the hate train. If it's Disney, it's not me. That's what they're saying.
Disney Star Wars.
Cancel Disney is a big thing.
I think a lot of people need to go back and rewatch the original and like the prequel.
Well, look,
I really watch them because
I can shit on the original trilogy like it's nobody's business, bro.
I'm not even talking about shitting on it. I'm just saying I think that they forgot what it was.
Two sets of evidence that prove that the OT is not perfect. Force kick, Return of the Jedi, on Jabba's sand barge, and Yoda's fingers. Okay, those two arguments right there is like they're not perfect. Okay. No Star Wars is perfect. They're always going to fumble a little bit. Yeah, this is the first time I haven't seen them fumble yet. And that's only because the apprentice is at the helm. So, whatever.
Not to mention how George put the first couple stories together, like as he was filmed. Never mind.
We'll be here
another 3 hours. But look, I got to say, let the haters keep hating. If that's the train you're on, ride that train to the end of the road. Get off that last station and board another hate train all you want. Keep doing you, but we don't do that here. We find too much appreciation in what this was. This was an homage to Hayden. I read a tweet, and this is how I'm going to close out. I read a tweet today that was a kind of a quote from Hayden. that basically said, I feel so much joy that people are liking Anakin again and liking me again. And the last thing I have to say is directed 100% at Hayden Christensen. The people that threw the hate had no idea what you did for that character. And Hayden was a gift to this character and has been for 20 years. And anybody that hated on him before, you should be ashamed of yourself. Any writer or article that came out saying that Hayden couldn't act, you should be ashamed of yourself. You pushed this man out of Hollywood, away from acting with your negative words. And now we are graced by the hand of the maker that he is back doing this character and giving it so much joy and finding so much joy in being this character again, because now there's a platform where we can all talk. You don't have to be a writer or an editor or some Yahoo that writes for the public in a magazine or a newspaper back in the day when these came out before the internet was really a thing. Now we can show our appreciation every minute and every day. And if you go on Twitter, you see how many people love what Hayden has done for this character and for us that appreciate this lore. I cannot thank him enough for what he is doing, for coming back at the age of 40, over the age of 40, to play this character for us again. I am so thankful. I cannot thank him enough if these words get to his ears. We are blessed to have you back in this role, back in Hollywood, acting for us. Please continue to do it. And I appreciate you're finally getting the love you deserve and you have deserved for 25 years. So, like we always close it out, don't forget to take your pet and get spayed or neutered, help control the pet population. As always, don't forget to tell everybody in your life how you truly feel, because you never know what tomorrow will bring. I'd like to thank Scotty for always being here. You're that way. I'd like to thank you for hanging out. Dan the man was here earlier. We missed the homies. Everybody, please have a good night. We will see you next time. Thank you.